This is Rugby Radio, bringing you exclusive coverage of the South in the Inter-District Championship in association with the Borders Distillery.
Hello and welcome to Rugby Radio. Today we're covering the final inter-district match of the three-week tournament between Caledonia Reds and the South, and the venue is Canal Park in Inverness, which is the home of Highland on the 3G pitch, and we're expecting a bumper crowd here this afternoon. Kick-off is 30 minutes away and the Rugby Radio team have travelled up this morning. The South squad came up last night, so they'll be very relaxed and ready to go. We'll have full uninterrupted commentary for you. I tell you, we've got 40 miles an hour winds here today, and it's playing havoc with everything, but hopefully we will be on the air all the way through until 5 o'clock. Well, of course today it's Dale Clancy and Robin Purdy giving us the live commentary, which is coming up at 3 o'clock. Let's bring in Robin now, if you can hear us. Hello, Robin.
Good afternoon, Stuart.
Now the weather is predicted to be dry. It's warm, very warm here today, 16 degrees, but 40 miles an hour gusts come kick-off time, so we're battening down the hatches just like at Musselburgh a couple of weeks ago, but this is even stronger.
Oh, it is. This is a different ball game wind-wise from Musselburgh a couple of weeks ago, where every bit is exposed up on the balcony here at Canal Park. But yeah, it's a strange one. It's beautifully warm this afternoon. It would otherwise be perfect conditions, but yes, it's very, very windy, and that coupled with a false pitch, if you like, is going to make for some interesting rugby, particularly with regards to kicks.
Yes, now it's interesting as well because we've left the Borders this morning. It was lovely and calm. I understand it's about 60 miles an hour down there, so they've got it even worse. But as you say, that wind is an absolute killer. And of course, it begs the question, if you win the toss, do you go with the wind or do you go against the wind?
Oh, I think that's a great question. I think you probably need to go into the wind to start with and just try and get a bit of a defensive rear guard while you're fit and fresh, and hope for the best in the second half. The danger with that tactic, however, is that the wind dies and then you don't benefit from it in the second half. So I think the South, looking specifically at the South, they went into the wind at Musselburgh a couple of weeks ago, a lesser wind than this, and they didn't fare particularly well, and of course they turned it round in the second half. However, last week when they played in the wind at Kelso, the wind died away in the second half, so it will remain to be seen.
Well, there are loads and loads of permutations today. The South could draw, they could even lose and still win the actual championship, but we'll update you on those as we move on throughout the day. But the best possible outcome for the South, win the game.
Yeah, just win the game. The South can win without a bonus point, as they've done the last two rounds actually, so yeah, just win the game. 6-3 will do the South, no problem at all.
Well, just for the record, for South to win despite a loss here today, because I know people will be asking, they would need to lose with 2 bonus points to take them up to 10 points. Glasgow would then need to beat Edinburgh with no bonus point at all, so that way South would carry off the championship. Another scenario would be if the South lost with 1 bonus point, Glasgow and Edinburgh drew their game with no try bonuses for Edinburgh, and then South would be champions again. But that makes the whole afternoon very intriguing.
Well, yeah, there's a few permutations, but I think as far as teams are concerned, the teams that can still win it, the 3 of them, they just have to go out and win the game first and foremost, and then from an Edinburgh and Glasgow perspective, bonus points thereafter, and they'll hope that Cali can do them a favour by beating South here today. But yeah, you just got to go out and win the game first and foremost, particularly in conditions like this. And just to really explain how windy it is, a supporter just emerged from the bar, the beautifully poured pint of Guinness there, and the wind blew the top inch of his pint right out the glass.
There we are. So those are the conditions that we're up against today. There is a trophy up for grabs regardless of the championship today. It's the new Nairn McEwen Trophy. That's going to be on offer for the winners of games between the South and the Cali today and in the future as well. It's a nice touch because Nairn played for Highland. He also played for Gala, as well as obviously being a Scottish international, getting 20 20 caps. So what can you tell us about Nairn?
Oh, it's a quite remarkable tale, Stuart. He was part of a formidable Scotland pack back in the day with the likes of Ian McLaughlin and Sandy Carmichael and the Browns and McCarg and these guys back in the 70s. But what makes it really almost hard to fathom is the fact that he travelled thrice a week from here to Gala. And back to play rugby at a higher level, which got him his international honours. Now, we drove up this morning, took about 4 hours, Stuart, and I'm happy not to be doing that 3 times a month or 3 times a year, let alone 3 times a week. So, I dare say the A9's probably in better nick now as it was back then as well. So, I mean, it really is remarkable what he put himself through in order to get that higher level of rugby that culminated in his in his very decorated honours.
Absolutely, what a chap he was, Nairn McEwen. It's great to see him honoured in this way. Well, earlier on I spoke with the 2 head coaches. I took them to somewhere quiet. You'll hear from Colin Sangster in a moment. He's the head coach of Caledonia Reds. But first, a word from South head coach, and that's Matty Douglas. Matty, preparations this week for this one, because you've been training on the 3G pitch.
Really good training this week, Stuart. I think this has been our best week, to be fair. I think the session with the Knights on Tuesday really set the bar for what was a tough task today. We travelled up last night and had a good bit of bonding and a good bit of crack last night. So no, it's been a great preparation, and we know our job. That's the main thing. We know our task, and we need to try and get over the line here.
And that's a big plus, getting up overnight as well, because that just makes things just a little bit easier for you preparation wise.
100%. We're not having to leave at 7 in the morning or anything like that. We got up last night, got a meal, and we've chilled out this morning and got here in plenty of time. So look, again, it's just about creating memories and creating friendships and getting a night away. Jumped at the chance, and look, we'll see at 3 o'clock if it's paid off to get up here. But the boys are in great spirits. They know the job at hand. They're quality players, and a lot of them have been in some pressured situations. So we're hoping that'll go a long way today.
Good as well, isn't it, the fact you've got the 3 games back to back, and it really makes a difference in the bonding.
It really does, and look, if I'm being honest, it probably still isn't long enough. You're trying to mould a team in the space of 3 weeks. We're probably lucky because we're in a region that is pretty close together, and we've had Tuesday Thursdays for the past 3 weeks, and even now, you probably saw by selection, we're probably still not quite at where I wanted to be. We've made another couple of changes today, but again, that's just when it comes to this level, you have to perform week in, week out, and I can't fault the boys' commitment. We've had a few injuries, but everybody's bought into what we want to achieve. We set out with a goal at the start, back at Kelso a month ago, and looking at it, we're close to that goal being achieved.
I think it's fair to say as well, you're top of the table, but we haven't seen the best of the South yet.
No, and I think, look, I'm not being critical, because the boys know their sell, that at times we've probably won a little bit on character the last 2 weeks. Especially last week, I thought second half we could have been better, and the boys knew that. So it's not for me to stand there and point fingers. And this week's training has definitely been a level up. And I'm hoping, as a coach, you hope every week, but the way they've trained, I'm looking for the best of them today. And again, I think yes, we've had a couple of injuries, unavailabilities, but the bench makes a big difference in this higher level, and that showed the last 2 weeks. And I didn't want it to get to that stage. I want to be able that we're putting a performance in that the bench can come on and just impact to take us away a little bit, but that takes none away for Cali. And looking at the conditions today, that is a leveller for sure. I
was going to talk to you about the conditions. We've actually found the only place in Inverness that's got a bit of shelter from it, but it's going to be ferocious, 40 miles an hour at kick-off. You win the toss, what do you do?
I'd play up. I'd play into the wind.
Would you?
Yeah.
So would Collins. It'd be an interesting toss.
It'll be an interest. Hopefully Sean's won a couple the last couple of weeks. But no, look, I think that's just a mindset thing. If we do have to play with the wind first half, it's a case of trying to build a score, because this wind, I've been out on the pitch, it's definitely a 30-point wind, and I think most coaches would feel if you play into the wind, he comes second half, then that's when he get your points, but sometimes it doesn't work like that. So either way today, I think mindset goes a long way, and we need to probably, our advantage is that we've had a lot of sessions and we know what we want to achieve, so that has to come into it. But I think Cali are a side who have got a point to prove today, and I think they'll Colin will have them ready to go, that's for sure. And
of course you could play with the wind the first half. It could always change, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could. Probably looking at it last week, it kind of happened. We played into a bit of breeze at Poinder, and we won the toss, played up the hill, and come second half it kind of died, and it was a leveller, and you're going in at half time thinking, we've got the elements, we've got a kick on, and it never happened. So but the wind's swirling, but looking at it, I think I'm going to struggle to see it changing and dropping, so it's got to be a case of skill set and back three working hard today. And if we're in the right mindset, then I'm hoping we can achieve that.
There's literally hundreds of permutations there. The easiest one is you win the match and you're champions, but you could draw, you could even lose and still actually win. I think there's 2 permutations which means that you could do that, but obviously the easiest thing, go for the win.
No, and I think, look, before even the SRU came out and confirmed that we just have to win, that bonus points didn't come into it. We spoke on Tuesday just around knowing our job today, and look, yes, the Inter-District Championship would be great. It's an achievement that I'd love to win, but first and foremost we have to win the game. I'll be honest, on here we've never touched on winning the trophy today. I think we've touched massively on coming here and putting a performance in, and I'm a big believer if you can get your performance right, then you win games. So that's probably the big part today, is that if we can get that level of performance, the win comes, and then what comes along with a win. So look, we're not under any illusion that this will be hard, and the side that Cali have got out today will test us, especially in the backs. If I'm honest, that's where we were a little lacking last week backs wise, but I think the boys have stood up this week. I asked them to, and they have, and it'll just come out down to taking our opportunities. And I think, again, what team deals with the elements the best.
Yep. Well, we wish you all the best as always. Thanks for talking to
Perfect.
us. Colin Sangster with me now. Good to see you, Colin, after all this time. You're a big supporter of the Inter-District, aren't you?
Yes, yeah, I've been involved for a few years now, and I think it's a great opportunity to give amateur players from all over our region a chance to play representative rugby. So, yeah, no, a big supporter.
And it must be so difficult as well, getting all the players from all round the Caledonia region, far and wide, to prepare for a championship like this.
Yeah, we had a couple of training days where we had a double session, but we have had no midweek training on pitch. Because of the logistics of getting everyone together midweek, it's just not possible. So we've done run-throughs on the morning of our second game and third game, and a lot of chat during the week, and that's been our prep.
Such a close competition, though, it's turned out so far. I mean, Caledonia Reds at the bottom of the table, you can't win the championship. You could easily be top.
Exactly, yeah. One score in each of the games. Last week was particularly disappointing to lose a try just in the last minute or two, and by the time the conversion was taken, that was the final whistle. So we didn't get an opportunity to get the ball back and have another go. So yeah, that was really disappointing. But the boys have prepared well for this week, and we're desperate to get a win to finish the championship.
How do you pick your players?
A lot of hard work on behalf of myself and the coaches. We watch a lot of videos, we speak to a lot of people, we spread the net far and wide, and I'd like to think that we give all clubs an opportunity to promote their best players and give them an opportunity to play.
It's a great compliment as well for the likes of DJ Ennis, who plays his rugby at Curry, who thinks so much about the region that he wants to play for Caledonia Reds.
Yeah, I think the boys that are in other regions who originate from Cali and came through the Cali age grade system are desperate to play for the senior district. Once you pull that jersey on, that seems to be who they belong to, and they're desperate to play at every opportunity.
What about the team news then for today?
Team as selected, you've just mentioned DJ Ennis. He is out.
Is he?
Yeah, he is out, having picked up a knock at training on Thursday night. Apart from that, we've given 2-3 players an opportunity to start who have come off the bench in earlier games, and we plan to use our squad. We've got some guys who are carrying knocks from previous games. It's been a pretty competitive 3-week period, so we'll be using our squad throughout the game.
Well, we're in a shady spot at the moment. We found a place without the wind, but 40 miles an hour at kick-off. It's going to be a bit of a wind-affected match. If you win the toss, are you one of the coaches that plays with the wind or against it?
I prefer to play against it, but I'll have that conversation with the captain and the other coaches just now. We spoke about a wind, but the wind is getting up the whole time, and as you say, by kick-off it could be 40 miles an hour, which is that's a bit of a game changer. So we'll decide our strategy before the toss.
Right, it's very difficult, isn't it, in these conditions?
Yeah, the wind kind of spoils the game, really. Probably with the wind, people kick more often into the wind. You've got to try and play. So yeah, it's not the best in terms of a high skill open game of rugby, but we'll see what happens come kick-off time.
Well, of course, this is your only home game of the championship, so you'll always want to put on a big display for the fans up here in Inverness, and of course it's for the Nairn McEwen Trophy as well. Tell us a bit about that, because great connections from a man who really showed determination when he was playing for Highland, and then he travelled to Gala sort of every Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah, we've just spoken about that as a group. A lot of the young boys really are not aware of Nairn McEwen and what he did as a player at Highland and at Gala, and coaching the Scotland national team, being Scotland's first professional coach, and all these things. So very colourful character, and it's fantastic that we've got a cup to play for, and we are not able to win the overall district championship, but we would like to still go away today with a bit of silverware, which would be the Nairn McEwen Cup.
Well, that was Colin Sangster, head coach of Caledonia Reds, and before that Matty Douglas, head coach of the South. Now, a few other games taking place today, of course, with the big one at Braidholme between Glasgow and the West against Edinburgh. South head the table with 8 points, Edinburgh on 7, Glasgow 6 and Cali on 3. It's quarter-final day in the National League Cup with Allen Glens taking on Howe of Fife, both from the 3rd Division. The 3rd Division champions Preston Lodge are facing 2nd Division's 3rd placed team Falkirk, but the other two games have been a victim of the weather. So Boroughmuir from Division 3 against Newton Stewart, that is off, and also Stirling against Lasswade. There's a couple in National 4 off today, Perthshire against Strathmore and Whitecraigs against Rosseye, both not taking place, but two games that are going ahead as far as we know. National 3, Orkney against Hamilton, and also in National 4, Murrayfield Wanderers against Garnock. Also in the Border League, which is in its final stages, Gala are at home to Kelso, where nothing less than a try bonus win for Gala will do to keep the Maroons in the hunt. And covering that one for today is Neil Hinnigan.
Welcome to Netherdale this afternoon for this Border League clash between Gala and Kelso. If Gala can win with a bonus point today, it would keep their slim hopes alive of winning the Border League this season. They've selected a team with a bit of purpose, with reasonable strength to try and get that job done. Starting at number 1 is Michael Angus, Richie Todd, Kyle Scott, Doug Weir, Robbie Irvin, Sam Smith, the experienced Liam Scott captain. Tim McCavener moves to number 8. Backs are Lachlan Johnson, Russell Kerr, Gregor Collins, Daniel Nicholson, Murray Wilson, Ben Gill and Jack Niven. In the Kelso team, Angus McGregor, Charlie Marshall, Aston Asante, Cammy Thompson, Alex Orr, Murray Woodcock, Jack Walker and James Glendinning. In the backs, it's Nick Stingle, Angus Utterson, Mark Wilson, Duncan Smith, James Thompson, Robbie Tweedy and Aaron Jackson. Kelso also have a contingency here of Berwick players who are there very thankful of for a loaner for today. Kelso have a partnership with Berwick where they've been players dual registered and back and forth to help them this season, and the favour has been repaid today. From Berwick is Jason Gerwood, Ryan Wilson, Mason Emery, Stuart Farnby and Aidan Rosie, along with Alex Orr, who mentioned is getting started in the second row. This will help Kelso see this fixture through to try and get the Border League completed. Gala certainly have their tails up for this one and be looking to get the 5 points to carry their opportunity on to the Hoyt match to see if they can win this year's Border League.
Thank you to Neil Hinnigan. Well, a quick look ahead to next week's now. That's Melrose Sevens, of course. That's come round again very quickly. We should be there all day for a marathon broadcast from 11 o'clock in the morning all the way through till 8 o'clock. 9 hours of non-stop broadcasting with commentary and interviews. We'll have our full team out as well, and we'll be covering in the middle of it all the semi-final of the Scottish Cup between Hawick and Curry, which kicks off at 3 o'clock. So a busy day for us all. One man who will be busy and has been busy for weeks and months is Tournament Director Phil Morris. I had to talk with him about what we can expect next year.
I think we're about 20% ahead at the moment on last year's shirts. So ticket sales have, I think we've sold 5,000 or something. They're definitely moving pretty quickly at this point, and we're hopeful for good weather. I haven't seen the exact forecast, but at the moment it's looking dry, which is the main thing. So hopefully that'll encourage more people to come and see what should be a great event.
Now, we always have a little chuckle at the feedback that is always there on social media. Some good, some bad, some a bit indifferent, some surprising. You take it all in, though, don't you?
Yeah, look, I think rugby is a sport with a lot of change going on and a lot of people with differing opinions. And, you know, I guess our job is to put on a high quality event, but, you know, it is impossible, it would appear, to please everybody. We do our damnedest to put on a great event with high quality rugby, attractive to the local audience and attractive to all the visitors that are coming. And, you know, I think we have to bear in mind players, youngsters, they have different requirements nowadays, perhaps from what people had sort of 10, 20, 30 and even further back. So, you know, our job is to make sure the event is relevant for them as well.
So what are the things that people are constantly coming back to you and saying, yes, you've got this right?
They like the quality of the rugby, they like the pitch that we have now, they like the infrastructure, the fan zone has been, you know, a big success for many people. Certainly the event is seen as being relevant. One of the Sevens events in the area that is seeing almost an upturn. So, yeah, I think all of that is seen as a positive.
And what about the other side of it then? The ones that people are sort of saying, well, oh, you should be changing this or that?
I think the primary one at the moment is a feeling that the local teams can't win the event. It's a difficult one. Obviously rugby's changed, so a team like Melrose now, would they have beaten a team that Melrose would have put out 10, 15 years ago? I don't know the answer to that, but we have to deal with changing circumstances. You know, back in December we didn't even know whether Super Series was going to be happening or not happening, or whether those teams would be able to play. Similarly, we've got clashes with the Cup. We're trying to make the event as interesting for anybody that's coming. So really pleased that the South Barbarians are able to come, and they look as though they're going to field a strong team, which should allow a team of some real local interest to, you know, be absolutely competitive with some of the other sides that come. I think the other side that people have got to realise how many people want to come and play at Melrose. You know, I mean, we are constantly turning teams away who wish they could come and play in the event, and you know, it's a balance between the teams that want to come, and you know, I can't dictate how strong or weak they'll be. Some teams are stronger than others. My view's always been, if you bring a good strong side to Melrose, you'll do fine.
A lot of great players in these sides. It's getting the message out, I suppose, of, you know, where you can find these players, because the teams themselves, there are names that people haven't understood, you know, who they are, because they just see a name and say, oh, I haven't heard of them, but they do contain some really good players.
I think one of the issues we have is that Sevens doesn't necessarily have the prominence that it used to have. You know, Anton Dupont, you know, he struggles to be a star in the game of Sevens, having just, you know, transferred across. You know, Michael Hooper's just been selected, I gather, for Hong Kong for the Australians. And again, you know, it's a transition. There are guys who play Sevens who are absolutely brilliant at the game of rugby sevens, who are not well-known names in the game in 15s. And ultimately, Sevens is only prominent in this area for a few weeks a year. We've made a bigger effort this year to get the squad names earlier, and we're trying in the next 10 days to, I guess, publicise a bit more publicly who some of these players are. So last year in the final there was a Spanish Sevens national player, there were really strong Fijian players with really good backgrounds in the game of rugby sevens. My understanding this year is we've got a couple of GB sevens players coming. We've got a Springbok sevens player coming. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to tell their stories in the coming days.
And of course, guest teams aren't anything new. We've seen this in the past. I think the difference is we've had like London Scottishes and Ross and Parks and kind of familiar club sides, I suppose. Are they still an option for the future?
It's difficult with the likes of, I say, Saracens. These teams now, they're essentially looking for their travel to be paid, their accommodation to be paid, and potentially even their players to be paid. And as a club, we're unable at this point to do that. So, the guest sides that we are attracting are ones that are prepared to come to the Green Yards because they want to be part of the history that's here. And I know next year we've got one Australian club side already showing an interest in coming. I think it'd be a side that everyone would recognise. So, if they can manage to bring that together, we'd love to see them here. We're really open to whoever wants to come, and there are no shortage of people emailing us and asking to receive an invite.
I think one thing that I've always mentioned to you, is, which I like the idea of, is putting the emphasis more on locals and club and Scottish rugby on, say, the Saturday, and then having the guest teams on a Sunday. There is the potential there, certainly, of making it a really good, strong weekend. I think you always said to me that it's very important, I think, for some local players to play against the very best players as well, which I totally get. But there's also players who would rather, instead of being knocked out in the first round, would actually like to play a bit more rugby in front of a big crowd.
Yeah, look, it's a balance. As you know, back in 2020, we looked at almost splitting the event and having a sort of more localised tournament focused on the Saturday, and as you say, a sort of a semi-pro, if that's the right word, which would be pools, and then into the Sunday. I think probably now, post-COVID, having rebuilt the event, assuming we get a good Saturday in a couple of weeks, then I think for 2025 that's something the club should have another look at, and may well be the right option to take it forward. Some people don't like things to change, but in my view, you have to keep evolving, and we're evolving in what is quite a changing environment here in Scotland with rugby. So, we've got to try and find the right place for Melrose as all that settles.
That was Phil Morris, the director of Melrose Sevens. We'll be there next week. Looking forward to it very much. But now it's time for the main event on Rugby Radio, the final Inter-District Championship weekend between Caledonia Reds and the South. Let's join our commentary team battling against the 40-mile-an-hour winds, and it's just started to rain as well. Robin Purdy and, first of all, Dale Clancy.
Bring on the wind, bring on the wind. Yes, it's blustery here at Canal Park. It's blowing a hoolie as Storm Kathleen breathes in on the home of Highland Rugby Club, but we're in round 3 of the Inter-District Championship here at Canal Park, and it's been a long travel. 140 miles we've had to travel from Galashiels to get to Inverness, but it's a travel which Nairn McEwen used to do regularly when he played his rugby for Gala and travelled from the Highland, and that's going to be the cup that both of these sides are going to be playing for today. But also the South of Scotland will have their eyes on this Inter-District Championship as they currently sit top of the table on 8 points, Edinburgh on 7, Glasgow on 6, and they're the only two teams that can potentially pick up the trophy this season. Those two teams are clashing this afternoon at the same time at Braidholme, the home of GHA. Last year it was Caledonia Reds who came out on top in this fixture, 32 points to 30 they won at Braidholme on the 21st of May, and they're going to lock horns this afternoon with the only prize that they've got is the Nairn McEwen Trophy as the South make their way onto the field led by their captain Sean Muir. He's going to be partnered up front with Fraser Rennick and Nicky Little. Connor Sutherland and Keith Melbourne are in the middle row, and in the back row there's only one change from the team that beat Glasgow last weekend, and that's Bruce McNeil coming in at number 6 with Callum Rennick and Jay Linton making up the back row. A lot of changes in the back, there's 4 to be exact, because Douglas Crawford and Aaron McComb are a new half-back pairing, with Callum Anderson and Josh Welsh on the wing, with Frankie Robeson and Donald Crawford in the midfield, and Kirk Ford lining up at full-back. The changes there were Donald Crawford and Josh Welsh, who are replacing a couple of players from last weekend's win against Glasgow. And for Caledonia Reds, they make 4 changes to the lineup. One recent one is the absence of DJ Innes, because he's been replaced by Murray Mitchell in the inside centre. So Harry Russell will be captain at 9. Callum Beckett is the fly half, and the wingers are Muratoke and Henry. Mitchell and Wallace in midfield with Connor Folds lining up at fullback.
This is blank.
Stephen Rendell and Struan Sexford are going to line up alongside Stephen Murray in the front row, with McFarlane and Keogh in the middle row, and then Brown, Stephen and Johnston in the back row for Caledonia Reds. A late replacement on the bench as well sees Stuart Kirk line up on the bench as a replacement for Mitchell, who's had to replace DJ Innes. The referee this afternoon is going to be David Young. He's just waiting to get play underway as the sun starts to peek through the clouds here in Caledonia Reds in their blue tops with the red trim, blue shorts and the red and blue hooped socks as well. Are going to be playing the traditionally red and white hooped south side with the white shorts and the red and white socks. The South are going to start this game playing from left to right as you watch on from the clubhouse end. Good kick off here, bitten in the wind, but it's going to be flapped back there by Jay Linton, gathered eventually by Connor Sutherland, who scoops the ball out the tackle. Fraser Rennick, he grabs the ball as a little teddy bear roll on the ground and gives it eventually to Douglas Crawford. Aaron McComb just stabs this in the sky and is wanting the wind to do the work for him, and it bobbles on this synthetic surface. Folds eventually gathers that bouncing ball. Aaron McComb, who flapped out an arm to try and challenge the Calais fullback, but he was in the air when he was contested. And you can see already, Robin, we've got a 40 mile per hour wind to compete with here. You can see already this is going to have a huge impact in this game.
Yeah, if anybody was under any illusion as to what the wind, what kind of havoc the wind was going to wreak as the ball nearly comes up into our vantage point here, if anybody was under any illusions, then that was it. 30 seconds in, up and under. Not only does the wind play a part, but the bounce of the ball on this pitch, Dale, you're absolutely right, and that wreaked all kinds of havoc there, and I can only see that continuing as the game goes on.
Rendell, the Orkney hooker, starter in this game, one of the four changes, throws into the line out. It has been gathered there by Malachi Keogh, but knocked on in the flight as he tried to gather the ball. So there'll be a put into the scrum to the south, and we've seen last weekend the scrum had a huge impact on the game as well. Obviously in the end it was eventually the changes that perhaps turned the tide, and this is going to be interesting to see these two sides line up, especially with Struan Sexford, 9 games in Super Series last season for Heriots. He's lining up in the front row for Calais.
Yeah, and we've seen the South, Dale, struggle a wee bit of scrum time in their first 2 games, so it'll be interesting to see how this one goes, but yeah, they've certainly got the personnel to bring off the bench if they are struggling.
Douglas Crawford loiters by the tunnel of the scrum. Both sides clash together. Outstretched arms from Harry Russell, who's perhaps not happy with proceedings but has been nudged back slightly but given away into the hands of Frankie Robson, who pierces through 1 and then 2 challenges and makes his way up towards the 10 metre line. Good carry from the Kelso inside centre. Now in the hands of Aaron McComb, gives it to Callum Anderson coming off his wing and then back inside. It's a powerful carry from Connor Sutherland, who manages to get there in support. Crawford tips the ball on to Sean Muir, who's always there to take that first carry on, and the Melrose scrum half has to dig about in there again to find McComb, who gives it to Callum Rennick. He's been a standout player for Hawick and the South so far this season. Now Nicky Little pivots, gives the ball to McComb. He's got a couple of options there, and one of them was piercing through, and Donald Crawford is then in the hands of Jay Linton, and that low stooping run into contact has been met with some robust challenges from the Caledonian Red side. Now Frankie Robson carrying the ball again, gives it to McComb. McComb tries to give the ball to Crawford, who fumbles it on the ground, and now it's in the hands of Caledonia Reds, who sniff an opportunity of a counter-attack. It was Magnus Henry there on his home paddock. He's already got 2 tries in the championship so far this season. Great play there out the back door from Max Wallace, and it's expansive and hair-and-scarum stuff from this Calais Red side, who know that they just need to get a win to taste some sort of silverware in this inter-district championship this season. Now Struan Sexford carrying forward into Bruce McNeil, who does well to challenge the towering front row. Beckett, Curry fly half, eventually gets the ball into the hands of Wallace, who looks to try and release the ball yet again. A great break from the Edinburgh Accies inside centre. Play from Beckett, taking the ball to the line, looking to try and entice the South defence into a precarious position to try and create that little dog leg. Sexford carries back into the starting lineup, and it's going to be a penalty to Caledonia Reds. They go quickly through the foot of Russell, who taps it quickly back in field and finds a willing runner on his shoulder. The South protesting with the referee. They believe it was their penalty, but it's going to go to the Caledonia Reds, and it's good play from the home side, and able to keep the ball alive and really test this South defensive line, which I think the tactic will be to move this heavy pack about this plastic pitch.
Yeah, you would have thought so, Dale. It's been a reasonable start by the South, but Cali have mopped up most of what the South have been able to throw in there. He's tried to stab that low into the wind, the penalty, and it sclaffed along the ground, so back in the hands of the South.
Back in the hands of the South, and Donald Crawford, making his first start in the Championship, gets a chance to take the ball up towards that 10-metre line. Now Crawford back to McComb. McComb finds some space in behind, and he's got the ball over the head of Muratoki. And it's a great kick there from the Selkirk fly half, back in the starting lineup after missing the game last weekend. And that's going to do his confidence the world of good. It is, and Muratoki got his bearings wrong there, but that's to be expected this early on a day like this. It's going to take a bit of getting used to for these outside backs, and you'd imagine the South will try and do exactly what McComb did there, and that's play the rugby in the right areas and whack it down the field. Interesting to hear both sides talk about the strength of this wind beforehand as Caledonia Reds get the ball off the top of the line out and in the hands of Rory Brown, who is a very robust back row character for Kirkcaldy, getting his first start at the Championship as well. Stretched wide now, Caledonia Reds look to try and exploit the wider channels in this expansive pitch here in Inverness. South of Scotland defending well on this occasion, and they're also able to manipulate the penalty from the match official. David Young signals that the penalty is going to go the way of the South, and with this wind this is going to be an interesting decision, although the posts they're less upright than most posts at the moment, but Kirk Ford's going to kick it down the line. He's going to have to make sure he finds a touch, and he does, and it gives the South a good attacking opportunity inside the Cali 22. Yeah, it's a great kick by Kirk Ford. The old banana off the outside of that cultured right boot of his is taking play to 10-12 metres from the try line, and we spoke before, Dale, about these shaking posts. We hope that doesn't have any sort of impact as the game wears on. Melbourne gathers the ball from the line out, accurate from Rennick, and then it's been brought down, and then the red and white train starts trundling towards that line. The Caledonia Reds repelling the first onslaught from the South. And it's starting to be driven back and slowed down as the red and blue shirts of Caledonia Reds stand upright and firm to this South attack. Into the hands of McComb now. He throws the dummy, weaves back in field. He thinks he spots a little gap in there, but just not able to manipulate that situation this time. So the South will be calling on a little bit of patience, trying to make sure that they capitalise on this opportunity. It's going to be a game of twists and turns with this wind, and the advantage looks like it's coming the way of the South. The referee's signalling that there's an infringement in there, so there'll be another penalty as Keith Melbourne's involved in a little bit of afters off the ball. Bruce McNeil then quickly on scene as well, just to act as an enforcer, but the referee stops it quickly. He will be bringing this back for the penalty to the South of Scotland, so it gives them a chance again to, I think they're maybe opting for the scrum, but there was a chance there to kick it into the corner. And with the wind, more than any other occasion, I think the decision making of the captains and the leaders in both sides is going to be instrumental in this game. Oh, definitely. It's what do? You know, you kick it in the corner, you go for the post. You know, I always feel, when it's not that easy when you're playing a wind this strong as well, Dale, but particularly on a pitch like this, because you can overcook a kick as well, and all of a sudden you find yourself halfway down the pitch again. But they've gone for the line out. Challenging conditions to throw the ball into a line out. Kirk Ford just waiting for the referee to bring things back into action again. He's just having a conversation with a few of the personnel. One of them there, Conor McFarlane, the Aberdeenshire second row. It's great to see this Caledonia Reds side. They've got 14 different teams in the match day 23 as their primary club. You can add another 7 on to that for clubs they're affiliated to. So over this team, there's 23 players that are affiliated to 21 clubs between them.
Time is back on.
Compare that against the South of Scotland, who are represented throughout the whole 23 by 5 teams only.
Same for both.
Showing the challenges that face this Caledonia Reds side. The current holders of the Inter-District Championship, they're throwing the line out. Melbourne has gathered again, and then it's been brought down. It's a slow start, it's a stationary start, but the wheels and the cogs start turning of this driving maul, and it's trundling its way towards the line. The ball is down, and the South of Scotland strike first here at Canal Park, and the pats on the head are going to the second rows there, but it was driven at the base by Fraser Rennick, who gets his first try of the championship. 3 tries in the Premiership so far this season, but it looks like he's the player getting the plaudits. And it's announced over the tannoy as well that Fraser Rennick gets the first score for the South.
And the South will be delighted by that. I think there's an element of pressure that comes with playing with a wind like this as well, Dale. So that's them on the board after 8 minutes. You know, what would we call this? A 20-point win minimally, 25 points potentially. So yeah, you know, if you don't get the points on the board, it starts to become a wee bit of a monkey on the back effectively, but that's them up and running.
Kirkford, he's slotted conversions from places like this in the past, but he's perhaps not faced Storm Kathleen yet. So his first chance, right-footed kick on the 5 metre line outside the 22. Maybe the bend on those posts might help him on this occasion, as the posts arc towards the top corner here at Canal Park. The ball squeezes in between the uprights and Kirkford gets a very challenging but successful conversion. And after 9 minutes here, it's Cali 0, South 7.
Yeah, Kirkford could come down to kicks on a day like this, of course, and there are none better in Premiership rugby at least than Kirkford.
Bennett gets play back underway. It's underneath Linton, but it's gone over his head, and Sutherland gathers and offloads to Muir, and he ducks his right shoulder, and he meets the shoulder of a Cali Reds player as Crawford hunched over the ball, gives it to the try scorer Fraser Rennick. He carries forward, tries to keep the ball in hand. It was almost stripped out of its grasp by Brown. But Rennick does well to just squirm the ball from his grasp as Robson gets the ball off of McComb. He's been scragged in the tackle, goes to ground, sets up the set play here so Crawford can try and exploit that blindside. Thought he was going to release Callum Rennick, not able to. The ball's been scooped up by Caledonia Reds. It was Brown who did scoop up the ball and gather it, but there's a knock on in there. The referee will bring that back, but again, challenging from the kick-off. But Sutherland did well with it there, but defensively, Caledonia Reds look pretty strong as well.
Yeah, they do. They do, and let's not forget they've suffered the huge blow of losing, probably for my money anyway, their 2 best players, their 2 most influential players in DJ Innes and Sam Cardosi. Cardosi was never available by all accounts this weekend, but Innes pulled out with an injury pre-match. So yeah, big blow for Cali losing those 2.
First pop into the scrum for Captain Russell. 1 try in the championship so far, the Falkirk player, part of the team that narrowly missed out on promotion from National 2. Rolls the ball into the scrum, it's starting to charge forward, being picked up at the base, and Bruce McNeil was snaffling on the attempted attack. His first chance for Mitchell to run with the ball in hand. Russell scoops over the ball and gives it to Brown, and he has his first physical confrontation with the South of Scotland defensive line. Now a chance for the Aberdeenshire second row McFarlane to travel with the ball in hand. Doesn't make much in the way of ground, but he's able to get the ball back on a Cali Reds side. Beckett spills the ball to the wing, and it's Muratoki now. He looks to go on the outside of Anderson, who does well to challenge the winger. Looks to try and keep the ball in and his body in play, but the Selkirk winger does well, and now the ball's been passed to Melbourne to Ford, and I think he'll be pretty chuffed that the referee's blown that up.
Yeah, wasn't the best of passes. He put the fullback under a bit of pressure. He's got a big grin on his face, Kirkford, but no, I thought luckily for him they're going to bring it back and have an orthodox lineup.
Rennick directly in front of us in the commentary position here, and has a last conversation with Sean Muir. Rennick's sizing up his options. There's a bit of movement there. Melbourne manages to get in front of McFarlane because it was well competed there from Cali Reds, and now the maul is starting to drive forward. Bruce McNeil at the front of that, driving that. The engine in that train was able to turn round and get himself into a good position as the hookers start to wrestle with each other. Rendell and Rennick having a little bit of a fight on the ball. The ball's chipped over.
In front, we can't play on.
Chance to roll the dice there from McComb.
Number 4, Cali, collapsing.
And you can hear there that McFarlane is the player who's been penalised at that maul for collapsing. And it's another chance for it to kick downfield for South of Scotland.
Yeah, Kirkford, he's on his own 10 metre line here, but he'll be looking to put the right foot through this and get as much purchase as he can. Yeah, he's made a pretty good job of it, and the line that's going to take place in and around the sort of the 22, so another opportunity for South Wales. But yeah, I think the South will be pretty pleased with how they've started so far.
13 minutes gone, Cali 0, South 7.
They're not moving.
It's a scoreline. If it remained the same, which I doubt it will, but if it did remain the same, the South of Scotland would be the inter-district champions for this season. Thrown into the line out, it's been flat back by the big Irish mitts of Melbourne, and then into the hands of Callum Anderson, who started arcing his run in field, and he's beat the defenders on the outside of Muratoki, and then goes round Falls for a score. Great balanced running from the Selkirk winger. He gets his second try in the championship after a try against Edinburgh, and a narrow victory there. He managed to beat 2 defenders and had the pace on Connor Falls, who was covering back. And with 13.5 minutes gone, there's now Cali 0 and South 12.
Yeah, great try by that man, Callum Anderson. He's played well across the 3 games for the South, being one of the top performers, and that really was a first-class finish off first phase. And yeah, South, I've mentioned just earlier, they're absolutely delighted with how things have panned out thus far, and it's at the moment, of course, the South have got the conditions, you know, in their favour, Dale, but it does look a wee bit like a team full of Premiership operators against a team that have got some from down the divisions at the moment. Anyway.
14 minutes gone, Kirk Ford with a chance to kick at these warped and wobbling, wiggly posts that are at Canal Park. Just on the 22-metre line, right-footed kick. He's looking to try and use that wind, and uses it brilliantly as he just curls that ball in between the uprights and makes it a full complement to 14 points. And the South are in the driving seat here. We'll bring you updates of the game between Edinburgh and Glasgow, which has been played in Glasgow at Braidholme. The only other game that can potentially, not the only other 2 teams that can potentially pick up the championship, but it's currently the South in the driving seat. It's been gathered by McFarlane straight off of the restart. Melbourne just watched that sail over his head, and then it's given flat to Brown, and Brown carries forward into Rennick and McNeil, and then cleared off the ball. Russell keeps it alive, Beckett gives it back in field to Struan Sesford, who's charging at a rate of knots to try and dislodge this defence. Across the face there, McFarlane yet again there, carrying, cleared out by Brown. It allows Russell a little snipe and charge at a pocket of space that was in behind. Counter ruck coming on from the South, but it's been plucked off the ground eventually by the Cali Reds, who are now further up the park than they've been throughout the whole game. The replacement inside centre now, Mitchell weaves his run in field, the Strathmore back, and it's going to be a penalty to Cali from that little passage of play. But it's Russell who looks to go quickly, and he tips the ball on, and Cali now sniffing opportunities. He'll look to squeeze in between the 2 defenders. The ball's been flung out. Muratoki is now there, using a bit of footwork, tries to offload the ball, gives it to Falls. Falls throws the dummy, then a great offload into the wing, and it was down, given to Magnus Henry, but the referee, as you can hear, has signalled that it's a forward pass from Cali Reds, just with the try line beckoning. And that's the danger that Cali Reds bring with the players like Muratoki. Wallace has had some really good touches as well, but Harry Russell, you know, that expansive play that they can bring. Yeah, they're playing classic rugby into the teeth of the gale, keeping it in hand, interplay between forwards and backs, and they're really unlucky there. That's a borderline call. The referee did say to the players I was right in line, so we'll go with what he's called. But yeah, they're showing what they're all about there, the Caledonia Reds. Looking to keep the tempo high. They were always going to be a team that wanted to play at pace. I've been particularly impressed with Conor McFarlane in these early stages as well, the second row for Cali Reds. Played for Aberdeenshire further down the pyramid. But certainly not looking out of place. No, he's a slight figure as well, the second rower, isn't he? But yeah, he's certainly been putting himself about early doors.
Happy with distance.
Playing alongside Malachi Keogh from Heriots, ex-High School of Dundee player. Played 17 times in the Premiership for Heriots this season, scoring 6 tries. It's certainly an indifferent middle row partnership in terms of their experience so far in domestic rugby, but combining together well for Caledonia Reds here at Canal Park. 17.5 minutes gone, Caledonia Reds 0, the South of Scotland 14. Ball rolled into the scrum, the South 5 metres from their own line. They've been charged back by a powerful Cali Red scrum, but Jay Linton picks the ball off the base and he's just been flapped at the ankles. He makes it in between the 22 and the 10 metre line. Now Douglas Crawford gives it to McComb. There's players up on this side. Douglas Crawford, Donald Crawford just throws the ball at the knees of Kirk Ford. Anderson then goes one way, then goes the other, and given back there to Kirk Ford, but the referee spotted that the ball has drifted forward. And Donald Crawford, who has perhaps not seen a lot of rugby in recent weeks, perhaps looked a little bit rusty there trying to get the ball off his stronger right hand.
Here's a quick update for you from around the country. The big one at Braidholm at the moment is Glasgow 5, Edinburgh 7. Edinburgh taking the lead at Braidholm in the National League Cup quarter-finals. Allen Glens 5, Howe 5-0. Preston Lodge 0, Falkirk 7 is a latest score. In the Border League, it's Gala 0, Kelso 7. And the other scoreline we have at the moment in the East League 1, the final match between Langham and Broughton, and it's 5-0 to the hosts, Langham.
Both scrums are joining together just directly in front of us. The front row of Stephen Murray, who looks like he's not wearing a number from what I could see. Rendell and Cessford in the front row, and then against the Hoyk front row of Muir, who's the captain, Rennick and Little. The aforementioned Fraser Rennick, was the opening try scorer for the South. And then Callum Anderson getting the second one for the visitors. 14 points to 0, they currently lead. Ball rolled in by Russell. He's at the back of the scrum. He then flings it to Beckett. Beckett gives it to Mitchell and then passes it into the hands of Wallace, who was arriving at pace but defended well. Beckett gets round the corner, then filters the ball across to Magnus Henry. Caledonia Reds now make their way into the south of Scotland at 22. Have to pass their way out of it as they give it to McFarlane, who ducks that towering body low towards the thighs of the on-Russian South defence. Then getting through the hands, Wallace thinks he spots an opportunity. Anderson burst out of the line, but Faulds was there, weaving his way back into proceedings to take the ball forward. Beckett looks for options out the back, and it's Mitchell who is there. He's had a very active inclusion in this game, perhaps more active than he originally thought.
Thank you.
Not included in the original starting lineup, a replacement for Innes as Brown then carries. He barges off 2 challenges and then is wrapped up by his opposite number, Bruce McNeil, who is back in the starting lineup for this game. Beckett gets the ball, looks to float it into the path of Andrew Stephen, who's not there. The referee signals that ball is not drifted forward, so Russell is there. Beckett then puts it on the toe, looks to find a little pocket of space in behind, but there's a South player just sweeping in behind, and the referee brings it back for a penalty because of Connor Sutherland not rolling away at the ruck.
Yeah, 4 penalties conceded by the South so far in 20 minutes, but a lot of that stemmed from some great work by the Kirkcaldy flanker Rory Brown for Cali Reds. Dale, you spoke about him pre-match on the journey up here. You've seen him play earlier this season against Peebles, and I see what you mean. He's all action, and he's a big old unit as well.
He's, I think, Caledonia Reds are opting to go for the posts here, and they're going to be kicking into the teeth of this wind, but he was a player, Rory Brown, in that narrow defeat at Beveridge Park. Probably one of the most important wins for Peebles this season. Rory Brown was one of those players who were a constant thorn in the visitors' side that day. His attritional running. He's a burly character and certainly looks suited to this level in terms of his physique and his physicality.
Definitely, we've seen a few players who are, playing down the divisions in the last few weeks that could certainly do a job at a higher level.
30 seconds.
Beckett lines up a penalty attempt. He's already got 1 penalty so far in this competition. He's played 6 times so far for Curry this season, and then he's stabbed it towards those uprights. It's got a bit of distance in that wind as well, but it's 3 points back for the home side. So with just over 20 minutes played here, Cali get their first points of the afternoon. They currently trail 3 points to 14, but they're off the bus and they're able to eat into this south of Scotland advantage that they currently hold. And Ford gets us back underway, kicks downfield. It's been gathered by Faulds. He then angles his run out of his own 22. He's been met by Sutherland. Russell is hunched over the ball and then gives it to Brown. And Brown carries forward, ducks the shoulder, runs into Callum Rennick, who's looking to try and take a bite out of this ball, not able to. Then Ali Johnson then charges forward. He's been again challenged by Connor Sutherland. He seems to be getting everywhere on this park. Beckett finds a pocket of space, dances and weaves back in field. The front row who were covering across protest with the referee that they were impeded, but Russell floats the ball over the top into the hands of Faulds again. The full-back getting into this attacking line for Cali Reds as Beckett filters the ball to Johnson. He splinters in between two South defenders and knocks the ball on. Crawford gathers, then gives it to his brother Douglas. Then Josh Welsh, big towering winger, looks to try and stretch his legs, but he's not able to get round the outside of the Cali defence, and he's dragged into touch.
Quick update from Braidholm. It's Glasgow 5, Edinburgh 14.
Edinburgh started the afternoon 1 point behind the South in the league table. They knew it was going to take a monumental effort to try and overturn the odds. A win here for the South in any manner will give them the championship. Edinburgh currently holding the advantage at Braidholm.
Okay, and the 5.
Thrown into the line out there by the Orkney hooker Scott Rendell. One of 3 changes in that front row for Cali Reds from that defeat, the narrow defeat against Edinburgh last weekend at Rayburn Place. Russell goes to the blind side now and tries to stretch this South defence into the hands of Cessford, player of the match in the opening round for Cali against Glasgow. Beckett gives it to Wallace. Wallace gives it to Faulds. Faulds is charged and onto by Anderson, who does well to defend out of his line. Not in his regular position on the wing. He's a fly half and a full-back, standoff as well. Not seen him often on the wing, but he's certainly looking suited to that position. It's been turned over there by the South, and Jay Linton then burst through a couple of challenges there from the South. Crawford gives the ball quickly to Muir. Muir then to Ford. Ford to Donald Crawford. He floats the ball into the hands of Welsh, who dances back in field over the Cali 22 now. South of Scotland encroaching on this danger area now as Crawford spelters through the line and then gives it to Melbourne, and an outstretched arm gets the ball down. And great break there by Douglas Crawford, the wiry little 9. And he's able to get the ball through the hands and pass it to a rampaging Melbourne, who arrived at pace and was able to stretch over that line and get the score for the South. That's their 3rd try here at Canal Park, and it takes the advantage to Cali 3, the South 19.
Great finish from the big second rower, Keith Melbourne. That's his 2nd of the tournament. He scored against Edinburgh in the comeback win at Musselburgh, but great assist there by Doug Crawford. That's what he brings to the party. That's why he's in the team. I spoke on the preview show about him being a top of the ground man on this synthetic surface, and it was his little cheeky half break that led to that.
Ford with potentially his easiest attempt in front of these uprights. Right-footed kick, it travels in the wind, but it's accurate, and again it's another full 7 points for the South. Cali 3, South 21, 26 minutes gone, and they'll be happy with proceeding so far.
Oh, they definitely will, with a chance still with the wind at their backs to extend this lead. It is like I say, it's a multi-point lead wind. You would assume it's 20 points, I would suggest. So they'll probably be looking for more, Dale, in the remaining 14 minutes of this half, I would imagine.
You stay behind again.
Beckett makes his way up towards the halfway line as a replacement. It comes on for Caledonia Reds. We'll bring you updates of any changes as proceedings go on. First chance for the Callum McPherson on his home pitch is to chase the line out. Chase the restart, sorry. It's been well brought back there by Cali and then tipped from Cessford into the path of a supporting player. Beckett now, it's Wallace, gives it to Beckett. Beckett then stabs it forward, and that's an acute kick. It's well balanced and well judged, but the bounce of the ball just not going the way of the home side. It was a delicate kick from Beckett, but it's a good restart from Highland as well, and the replacement McPherson.
That's right, he got himself involved straight away, which is all you can ask for from a substitute. Probably on a bit earlier than expected. The home team player, high tackling there, that's now up to 5 penalties now. But yeah, I've been pretty impressed by how Cali have stuck to the task after conceding tries, and they're in a great attacking position here, assuming they can get this to the touchline.
It looks like the replacement has been Conor McFarlane, who's had a good opening to this game. It looks like he's the player that's been replaced for Callum McPherson.
Wait till they're down, okay?
Struggling to see the towering second row in the cluster of red and blue shirts that congregate towards this South of Scotland line. About 6 metres away, Rendell's got the ball in his hands now, ready to throw this into the line. A bit of movement at the front and the replacement is hoisted up. It's then ricocheted down the chest of Nicky Little, but it's over the try line there. And Connor Sutherland diffuses that bomb, but the referee, the signal that's been carried back over, and it's going to be a scrum put in to Cali, and I think they'll be chuffed with that as well.
Yeah, they lost the line out, but the referees deemed the South knocked it back. It was well mobbed up.
Penalty there. Rennick has been guilty of giving an infringement, so Russell goes quickly, tries to squeeze his way over the line.
Back. I'll deal with it in a minute.
You can hear the referee
Back we go.
speaking with Sean Muir.
We'll stop. Back we go. Back we go. Aaron, take them back, please. Help me out. Help me out. Back we go. Back we go.
Harry Russell just in the corner,
Yeah, come here.
on the ground.
John, give me a... Right. I've initially gave a penalty because they're too much chat and I've warned them.
Yep.
I'm going to stick with that, but I'm going to have a word about it. I feel like he's going down.
He was
but
way
it's
down.
high.
So, yeah, the contact was when he was way down.
There's going to be a warning about what they're doing.
4 red, yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm going to stick with the penalty here.
Yeah,
Are
absolutely.
you happy with that?
I'm totally happy with that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, because he's just now. Listen, the original penalty, who coming in saying because you heard exactly what you said, I don't need that.
No, I agree with that, yeah.
You can speak to him about that because we've got a minute. Listen, he's falling there, he's still high. But we're going to stick with this penalty here, but you need to watch what they're doing.
Can I have a word? Surely they can't be taking it quick when you're...
Yeah, but it's really quick. He's not getting any benefit for it, okay? Speak to your...
Referee clearly outlining what he was expecting there. His penalty is still going to go the way of Cali. Captain Russell is still on the deck, getting a little bit of medical attention. He's now back on his feet. Sean Muir not happy with him taking it quickly, but the referee is certainly not happy with some of the back chat he's been getting from this south side, who are in the driving seat. 21 points to 3, they currently lead. 28.5 minutes gone. And the referee just regurgitating that information to Russell, and there's going to be a penalty to Cali. I'll get Robin Purdy's thoughts in a second, because certainly Harry Russell and whatnot keep us on our toes, but they're opting for the scrum, and it's probably a good return. They probably should have done that in the first place.
Yeah, I think so, Dale. I think they were thinking that maybe I hadn't retreated 10. There was a bit of a high shot in there on Russell as he advanced towards the line, but I think that was good officiating all round. David Young and David Chang Lang coming together there to thrash that one out, and I think it's all worked out pretty well in the end.
Russell was shaking off the cobwebs, and he's got the ball in his hand. He's straddling over the 5 metre line as both sets of these packs just collide together underneath the darkening and grey sky here at Canal Park as Russell digs the ball out from that solid scrum. Beckett bounces off his feet under the challenge and over the try line for Cali Reds for their first try of the afternoon, and it's excellent electric footwork from Callum Beckett. He was able to weave on the inside of the on-rushing defence and then duck under the challenge, and it means just approaching the half-hour mark here. It's Cali 8, South 21.
Brilliant finish from the diminutive number 10. That is for sure brilliant footwork, as you say, Dale. And they're right back in this now. Cali kick to come, and I've been really impressed with both Cali halfbacks so far. We know they're good players. It comes as no shock, but they've both had a strong start to the game, and Beckett's got a chance here to turn his 5 into 7.
I always find that, when you look at teams on paper and you start to figure out where they've been playing. Beckett's only played 6 games in the Premiership. He was playing second fiddle to Forbes for most of the campaign, and you're talking about the Aberdeenshire players, and also even potentially you've got the likes of Highland and Falkirk players in there as well. Rugby's a funny game now. Some people like to play for their clubs, and they're still top quality operators. And one of them, the half-back pair, and linking up again, Russell, his finger poised on the tip of the ball as Beckett aims it towards the uprights, but has just dragged it towards that right-hand side on this occasion. So it's only the 8 points for Beckett so far. Could make it 10, but again, just eating into that lead that the South currently have. It's Cali 8, South 21. And Ford makes his way back up towards the halfway line now. Right-footed kick downfield has been grasped by this wind, and as it starts to almost go over the head of Johnson, and does well to gather but runs into the on-rushing Anderson, who's been supported there by Nicky Little. Selkirk and Hoyt linking up. Beckett, a flat pass, and then been floated across. It's been scooped up. Dwayne Patterson is in for the South, but the referee has spotted that there's a knock-on in there. I think a couple of the Cali players as well are perhaps demanding for some further action from the referee, but he just signals it as a knock-on. Scrum put in to Cali in a dangerous area, but their scrum has looked pretty solid so far this afternoon.
Yeah, it's probably slightly had the upper hand, I would say. And that you're right, there were a couple of Cali players that thought that might have been a palm down. We were fully 50 metres away, so it was hard to see from here, but Cali hemmed in their own 22, which is not what you want to be, or where you want to be when you're playing into the teeth of this gale. So yeah, with 8 or 9 minutes to go in this, I think the South will fancy a bit more, Dale.
Put into the scrum for Cali. Russell over the set piece, it comes out quickly, he passes it to Beckett and then goes against the grain back to the far side where Wallace is waiting. He bounces in field and he's been met eventually by Keith Melbourne, giving him an Irish hug. Brings him to ground, and the forwards have to filter around the corner to try and steady the ship here. It's a difficult position to exit from with this wind. You can hear whistling over the mic as Beckett has to stab it into this wind. He's made great distance with that, but it has just been gripped, and as it falls to the ground, Patterson is there to gather the ball and scoop it up and make his way back towards that 22 metre line. Crawford to Muir, Muir then to Sutherland. He's got some support outside him, and there's the call for defenders to get round the corner for Cali. They get there quickly and then into the hands of Donald Crawford, and then Muratoki gathers the ball. He's got support outside him, but he just chips it over. He'll be looking to get the bounce of the ball, but Ford is there. Classy as ever from the Hoyt fullback, who gets there just to sweep up the loose ball that was stabbed in behind from the Cali winger. Beckett and Rennick then collide midfield, just shy of the halfway line. Crawford is over this one. He fumbles the ball at the base of that ruck, but then he just squirms through the challenges. Now he's through that 10 metre line. He floats the ball into Anderson. It's a lovely pass. Can he beat Muratoki to the line and get the ball down? The referee is having a little look at this. He's having a conversation with David Chang-Ling, and he signals that the try's been awarded. And great counter-attacking play from Douglas Crawford. Perhaps some eyebrows raised at his inclusion at start in this game, but that is, all those questions have been answered probably in the last 10 minutes. An electric break from the scrum half and an excellent pass to Anderson to get his second try of the afternoon. That's a bonus point in the bag, and now the South lead 26 points to 8.
And that's exactly what they wanted, a lead of this nature as we approach half-time, playing with the elements at their back. Another wonderful finish by Callum Anderson. He's looking like the manner to the manner born today on the wing, but chalk down another first-class assist to Doug Crawford. Not only was it a brilliant break, brilliant pace, but a pass of that quality in wind like this, Dale, let's not underestimate how good or how high a level of skill that was.
No, I thought as soon as he started winding up that pass, I thought this could go anywhere.
I thought, oh no, this could be halfway to Perth.
The kick just goes to the left-hand side, but that was my thoughts exactly. I'm glad your geography is better than mine, and I probably got that a little bit wrong. But it was a delicious pass there from Crawford, who perhaps is winning the battle of the Crawfords as well. He's having a better game than Donald so far in this game. Been a couple of fumbles in there. Not perhaps being able to hit his straps in South colours. And now a chance for Cali. Get play back underway. It's a misconversion. First miss for Kirk Ford this afternoon, and it's a handsome advantage that the South have going into the latter stages of this game. The restart, well competed and contested there. Rendell gathers and then passes the ball to Mitchell, and then it is scooped up there by Rennick, but there's a knock-on in there from the initial restart, so the referee is going to bring that back for a put into the scrum. Centre field, just in between the 22 metre line and the 10 metre line. So it's going to be Cali who are going to be on the attack.
Glasgow and West 5, Edinburgh 14 is the latest score there. In the Cup quarterfinals, Allen Glens 12, Howe 5-0, Preston Lodge 5, Falkirk 7. In the Border League, it's Gala 5, Kelso 14.
Russell He puts it in and it just squirms between the legs of Johnson, but then eventually is scooped up, and then Beckett gives it to Wallace, and then he has got on the wing waiting there. It's Magnus Henry, and he's on the outside. He's charging towards the line, slows down somewhat, but Ford does well to gather, and then popped up into the hands of the on-rushing Faulds, who's there. And it's great defence by the South to get back and thwart that attempt from Cali, but as easy as you like for Magnus Henry on his home paddock to get round the outside and try and exploit the wider channels.
Oh yeah, too easy for Magnus Henry, but it was a wonderful burst of pace, and he managed to get the ball away, but brilliant defence over in the corner there. Bundled the Cali player into touch, and that could be quite a pivotal moment as the game progresses. If Cali score again in what remains of this first half, then they're not out of it yet.
There's not been a game that's been won by more than 4 points in this championship so far, and I think back to the South, and most of their efforts have been defensive. The memorable moments is Rendell carries forward for Cali, and he does incredibly well, stays tall but powers forward as the replacement now. McPherson has a bite at the South line. He's been driven back in contact as Russell gives it to Beckett. Beckett out the back door to Faulds, who catches it one arm, and he goes round the outside of Anderson and dots it down in the corner. And it's certainly raining here now. It's raining tries as well. We've been treated to some lovely attacking displays from both sides, and the likes of Russell, Beckett and Faulds linking up brilliantly there for Cali Reds. Gives them another try. They've got 13 points behind now. Cali 13, South 26. Approaching half time. A good response from Cali.
Oh, definitely. They've responded well on 2 or 3 occasions, Dale, and they've got a bit of zip in this backline. That was a wonderful fullback's try by Faulds. He picked his line, arcing run in at the corner, and they're right back in this, and at 13-26, kick to come, couple of minutes to go, and then a ferocious wind at their tails in the second half. This is far from over.
Thank you, Ben.
It's a very, very poignant point there, Robin, because this wind is incredibly strong here at Canal Park. As Beckett lines up this conversion attempt, Russell's legs just stretched off the park as he positions the ball on the tee to help his fly half. The yellow boots of Beckett now approach the ball, and he's just glanced at in front of the uprights. It shows the strength of this wind. He's just not able to get towards those posts. And it remains a 13-point game. 39 minutes gone here at Canal Park in the Inter-District Championship. Cali are trailing 13 points to 26. They are rooted to the bottom of the table. In the South, if things remain the same, will be champions. They'll also claim the Nairn McEwen Cup, the inaugural Nairn McEwen Cup, which is going to be contested between these two sides for many a year to come, as Beckett gathers the ball off of the restart, and it just squints off the playing surface. Still within the Cali half. They'll throw into the line out for Fraser Rennick in his South side.
Again, I think with a minute to go, the South will be looking for something from here, Dale, if they can. I mean, who would be a hooker on a day like this? The first thing they need to do, of course, is win this line out, as Rennick takes the instruction from his South and Hoyt captain Muir. But yeah, I think if they go down the tunnel 13 points up with that wind at their backs, I think they'll be a wee bit disappointed, Dale.
It'll be interesting to see how both sides approach this second half. Thrown into the line out, brought down. Sutherland does well, but it splinters quickly as Callum Rennick just feeds the ball into the hands of Frankie Robson. McComb now gives it to Anderson. He checks his run and bounces back in field off his right foot. He beats the first defender, but then is brought to ground as Crawford, who's certainly up there as one of the most important players in this first half, gets the ball through his hands. Melbourne then gathers now. Donald Crawford, he gives it into the hands of Patterson. He puts it on the toe, tries to go in behind Muratoki, who palms the ball off the field of play.
I'm not sure you can do that, Dale.
Well, I think the outstretched flag of the assistant referee on the far side, who is Ted Coots, he might agree with you, Robin.
I think his head, if that's the case there, I think his head's gone. He's deliberately palmed it off the field of play.
Goal line dropout, I think the referee is signalling there, or is he saying that there's a penalty?
No, he's given it. I think he's given the penalty. We're a long way from play.
Yeah, definitely given the penalty. Kirk Ford making his way up to the ball, kicks it off the field of play, and there'll be a throw in to the line out to Muratoki. He perhaps has been guilty there of giving away a penalty to the South, so they've got a chance to throw into this line out into the force of Storm Kathleen, which ripples across the park here. Sutherland hoisted highest, brought down, and the maul for the South is driven back, then realigns and starts to drive towards the Caledonian Reds line, but the referee has signalled that there's a penalty in there as well. I think driving early before Sutherland was brought back down to this artificial earth that drapes the surface here at Canal Park. So it's back in the hands of Ford on the 15-metre line. They've opted to go for the line out straight away. It's passed back into the hands of Rennick now, who is going to have another conversation with Sean Muir. It's a brief one, just trying to suss out what the repertoire is going to be for this line out. A bit of movement at the front again. Sutherland is brought down. He's allowed to plant his feet on the ground this time, and then it starts to drive forward. That maul's got a good bit of length on it. It's protected. Douglas Crawford is at the tail of it. It's starting to squirm and twist right. It twisted round. The referee's in a good position to see this and see what's going on there. The outstretched arm signals there's going to be an advantage coming for this South side. They're craving another try here at Canal Park to stretch their advantage and give them a bit of cushion going into the second half. It's the run aground, and the referee, I think, has just signalled that is half time. There was no penalty advantage, no advantage to come for the South side, and it's expertly defended by the Caledonian Reds, and that's the first 40 minutes here in this Inter-District Championship, and it's a pivotal 40 minutes in terms of understanding where this championship is going to go. It's a home side who currently trail. It was the South of Scotland who got off to an electric start, and they managed to take the lead from Fraser Rennick, who got a try after 8 minutes, and they've not really looked back since then. There's been a brace from Callum Anderson and also a try from Keith Melbourne, and there've been a couple of tries from Caledonia Reds as well. Callum Beckett and Connor Folds getting them. A penalty as well for Beckett and 3 tries for Ford. It means at half time it's 13-26, and it's evenly poised with this wind that you can hear rippling across the microphone. It's still an interesting game, and it is far from over.
Oh, it's definitely far from over. I think Cali will be absolutely delighted heading down the tunnel, only 13 points adrift given what they've had to play into, and that was a chance that went a begging for the South there. They had a couple of penalties right in the corner, a couple of drives towards the line, but to no avail, and I really think they would have wanted something there just before half time, and I think they've got it all to do, Dale. I think they can do it, absolutely, don't get me wrong, but I think they've got it all to do.
It's going to be an interesting second half here at Canal Park in the Inter-District Championship. It's going to be interesting to see what both coaching teams direct their teams to do in the second half with this wind just hurling across the field here. But at half time, it's the South who hold the advantage over Cali, because it's currently Caledonian Reds 13, the South of Scotland 26.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
If you're looking to develop or hone your green skills, look no further than Borders College, your local community college. Visit borderscollege.ac.uk today. Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whiskey making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
The South in the Inter-District Championship on Rugby Radio with the Borders Distillery.
See the girls in California, I'm hoping it's going she come all along. Take a gumbo across the water like to see America. See the girls in California, I'm hoping it's going to come true, but there's not a lot I can do.
Music there from Supertramp. You listen to Rugby Radio. It's a Saturday afternoon, a very windy Saturday afternoon here in Inverness at Canal Park. Some latest scores for you from the Inter-District Championship. It's Caledonia Reds 13, South of Scotland 26. They're 13 points in front, but my goodness, that is a hell of a breeze that they'll be going into in the second half. Latest in the National League Cup quarter-final, Allen Glen's extending their lead. It's Allen Glen 17, Howe 5-0. Preston Lodge 5, Falkirk 7. That's changed now. It's now Preston Lodge 5, Falkirk 14, and the other two matches off, Boroughmuir, Newton Stewart and Stirling County against Lastmead, they will have to be played at another date. In the Border League, it's currently Gala 5, Kelso 14. Remember, Gala need to get a 4-try bonus point win to keep their hopes alive of at least sharing the championship with Hawick. They'd have to beat Hawick, of course, and stop them from scoring any points at all. So a very difficult task for them, and they're down 14-5 at the moment. But again, that could be a wind-related score. In the East League, it's currently Langham 5, Broughton 12 in East League 1, and other matches off in East League 2. Hawick Quince Dalkeith, that was called off. Also in National 4, Perthshire against Strathmore and White Craigs against Rosseye. Both those games have been called off. Well, Robin Purdy's been summarising for us today. What about that then? A 13-point lead at the break. Is it enough?
Well, Stuart, the South have had to tough it out in their two games in the championship thus far, and you feel that they might have to go at the well for a third time this afternoon, because they've scored 4 tries, they've had a lot of possession, a lot of territory, but they're only 13 points to the good, and I don't deem this to be a 13-point win. I think it's stronger than that, Stuart, so I think the South have got a job on their hands in the second half.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, because earlier on the weather forecast was saying that round about now it would start going back down to about 20 miles an hour, but it is a little bit strong out there at the moment.
Oh, it is, yeah. I mean, it's maybe dying a wee bit, I would say, potentially, but it could just as easily pick up again. But no, we've got a contest in this second half, and the South will be in those sheds at the moment, and they will be thinking it's job done, absolutely. But like I say, they've managed to guts it out the last couple of weeks, and if any team in the tournament on the back of those 2 previous weeks, if any team's going to do a backs to the wall rear guard action in the second half into the wind, then it's the South. And let's not forget, they've got the strength of that bench to come. They've used it brilliantly the last 2 weeks, and they'll be looking to use it again this afternoon.
And they've got a bonus point for the first time in the championship. A couple of tries from Callum Anderson, Keith Melbourne getting down again with another try, and Fraser Rennick kicking it all off after 8 minutes.
Yeah, some good tries in there as well. I've been particularly impressed by Doug Crawford in this first half. He's had a really strong game so far. On this, we've spoken before about the synthetic surface. He plays on it every other week, so he's quite used to it as the teams come back on. But he's had a good game, as is Callum Anderson in his not particularly familiar position on the wing.
Well, as you mentioned, the teams are coming back onto the pitch once again, and looking at Cali Reds, there's definite look at the body language there. They're sprinting onto the pitch. They're absolutely up for this one with the wind at their backs. The South haven't appeared as yet, but there's 40 minutes to go, and it's going to be quite a humdinger. The South beginning to make their way back onto the pitch again. Let's hand you back to Robin Purdy and Dale Clancy.
Cali Reds have just making their way onto the field, led by Harry Russell, and there's a replacement for Cali Reds in the shape of Glenn Brough, who's a Gala front row, originates from Orkney, so he'll be starting this second half for the home side. And just having a little look at the South side as they emerge from the sheds, can see that Russell Anderson is on the field of play for the South. and it looks like he is going to be a replacement for Fraser Rennick, the opening try scorer in this game. So it does look like both hookers potentially have been replaced in this game at this stage, but we'll bring you confirmation all those changes as the game proceeds. 13 points to 26. Caledonia Reds currently trail. I think it's actually Stephen Murray is the player that Glenn Brough has replaced for Caledonia Reds. I can see that the hooker Scott Rendell is still on the field of play, lined up just directly opposite Kirk Ford as the ball is bobbled onto the field into the hands of the South fullback. The referee, David Young, just having the last signal with Harry Russell to see if his team are ready to get things underway here, as Cali will play with the wind at the backs from left to right. And it's kicked into the air by Ford, and it almost travelled all the way into touch, but it's been brilliantly gathered. Straddling the touchline there was Andrew Stephen, the Watsonians' back row. Now Sessford, our player who plays his rugby in the capital for Heriots, charges forward as the Falkirk scrum half Russell passes it to another Capital Crusader in Callum Beckett. He punts it all the way downfield to Aaron McComb, who's waiting just on his 22. Then Ford has to keep the ball in hand. The defensive line from Cali Reds comes up quickly, but Ford is able to evade a couple of challenges there just on the halfway line. Muir pivots to McComb. McComb then tries to get the ball through the hand, but evades the first challenge, opts to carry the ball forward. The South, for a couple of phases, are able to go from their own 22 metre line to past the 10 metre line inside the Cali half. Now Nicky Little just going blindside opposite the stand and clubhouse here at Canal Park. Crawford, a little mazy run, just kicks it over the top as well. The bouncing ball is almost kind to the Melrose scrum half, but it bobbles into the hands of Connor Faulds. But the referee is going to come back for the penalty, and with the wind into their faces, the South showed a lot of attacking intent with the ball in hand there to make it from their own 22.
Yeah, just as Cali did into the wind in the first half. To be fair, now normally on a Saturday afternoon from this range, Kirk Ford plonks it on a tee, takes a couple of steps back and bangs it over for 3 points, but no such thought today into the teeth of the wind, and he's made a decent enough effort of putting that down the touchline. It's going to be a line out to the South just inside territory. But yeah, I think the South will be delighted with how they've started this second half, and I do think, as I said at half time, Dale, if anything, the wind's maybe just dropped a wee bit.
Yeah, it's dropped ever so slightly here. Kathleen makes her way through the Highlands of Scotland as the ball's brought down from that line out. Crawford gives it to Robson, who just pincers himself in between the Cali defenders, tries to get his knees to the ground to bring that passage of play to an end. Muir then tips the ball onto Russell, arriving at pace and bounds into contact. Crawford then finds McComb out the back door as Anderson waiting. The ball just not able to come under his spell, but the referee brings it back for a penalty. He'd make your job easy if he got another try, I think, this afternoon for man of the match.
Well, possibly, yeah. He's there or thereabouts as it stands at the moment. Couple of good interventions there. Introducing himself to proceedings as the replacement hooker for the South, Russell Anderson. Couple of strong carries. He's made an impact in the games he's come off the bench in this championship, and he'll be looking to do more of the same in this second half.
Ford ready to kick the ball downfield, and Kirk Ford was the man of the match in the opening round, and the man of the match in the coverage is sponsored by Borders Distillery. That's Robin Purdy's job for later on in the game. 43 minutes played. Cali 13, South 26. Anderson to throw into the line out, and he does well to find Sutherland, brought down, and then looking to wrap round the side. Linton gives it back to Anderson, and he flops over the line. A thumbs up from David Chang-Ling, and David Young then awards the try to the South of Scotland. And a couple of penalties, ekes away at territory, and from close range, the South strike.
Yeah, starts or passages of play into the wind don't get much better than what the South have come out with since half time, and spoke just a few seconds ago with the impact Russell Anderson, and no sooner have I said it, he dots down for a meat pie. It was a training ground move, looked for all the world like they were going to drive the line out that had been taken in by Connor Sutherland, but Jay Linton came rampaging round the front on the peel, drew the man, fed to Anderson, and that almost was as easy as you like.
That was a well worked try from the South, brilliantly described by Robin Purdy as we've got the conversion attempt lined up on the touchline into the full force of this wind, and it's a low stabbing kick towards the uprights, and it had the distance and just not the accuracy there from the South. So it's the Cali 13, South 31, and I can see one player lined up on the bench ready to make his South debut is Craig Keddy, a player who played 16 times in Super Series action for Boroughmuir Bears last season. He's ready to enter the fray at the next break that allows as Beckett gets play back underway. He's been kicked down the throat of Linton. He's been charged back, which is a rare sight, back towards his 22. Crawford gives the ball to Muir. He just ducks and tucks and rolls into contact. Crawford to McComb, out to Ford, and then he sizes up his options outside and looks to attack and run from deep, and it's probably a tactic that the South will be looking to deploy more often than not in this second half. Crawford then finds Muir and he tips the ball on to Melbourne, arriving, and he's got Andrew Skeen as an ankle ornament for a little passage of play as he has to hang on for dear life to bring the marauding Irish second row to ground, and now Callum Rennick is brought down by Struan Cessford. Crawford with a low stabbing box kick from the base of that ruck, and then he's chasing his own kick. Folds is there, he gathers and then he lumps it back downfield, looks to try and keep it in play, which is again a tactic I think Cali will be using quite a lot. McComb finds Patterson, a replacement in the first half. He sizes up his options and goes one way then the other, but then is challenged well by a combination of Mitchell and replacement McPherson. Aaron McComb acts as a scrum half as Douglas Crawford has to recycle himself and then gives it to Anderson. Muir then gathers with one hand, is challenged well by the on-rushing Cali defence, but brings the ball back on a south side. Sutherland loitering at his first receiver, carries forward, and a little bit of trouble there as Cali dip their mitts in the cookie jar, but not able to come up with the goods this time. Anderson flops over the 10-metre line as Bruce McNeil takes a knee to protect the ball. And then Ford gets the ball off McComb, the ball floated over the top to Patterson, a little kick of the heels, and he's on the outside, weaves back inside, and Beckett challenges well. Cali Reds over that ball, and it's a great turnover from Magnus Henry, playing in his home pitch, and he's had a good showing on the left wing for Cali Reds. Good counter-attack there from Patterson, but just running into trouble, and it gives Cali an opportunity to kick downfield.
Yeah, nice bit of play there by Patterson, a little goosey in the way he went, but he got a wee bit isolated. Didn't give much of a chance for his supporting players to get to him. So penalty was conceded first of the second half, I think, by Cali. They were pretty disciplined in the first half, and that's a good kick down towards the 22. And they've responded well on a number of occasions to South tries so far this game. Let's see what they can do here.
Bruff and Cessford are the props in the front row. And Fridge and Freezer, by the looks of their towering front row players. And partner in Rendell, who's just thrown into the line out. Cessford watches that bobble on the field of play, but it's been knocked on in flight by the South as Craig Keddy eventually makes his way onto the pitch for his first appearance in South colours. And he's going to be replacing player coach Bruce McNeil, who's going to depart. And is that potentially the last time we could see Bruce McNeil in South colours?
Possibly. Depends how he fares next season, I suppose, and whether whether he feels he can continue. I dare say he's going to continue playing. I've not heard anything in the country.
Yeah, I would guess that he's going to continue, but what an effort from Bruce McNeil in the shape of his life. He's put another good performance and another terrific season for Kelso. The experience and leadership skills that he brings to this side cannot be underestimated as the ball is rolled into the scrum. It starts to crane forward, but the referee will bring that back. We'll clap of the hands of Galawan Keddy, who's on for the South, most recent replacement, and the scrum's going to reset. And it's a challenging period as well. Obviously Shields and Logan made a huge impact off the bench for the South last weekend, and they might be tasked with trying to steady the ship at some stage in this game.
You'd imagine they're absolutely chomping at the bit to get on after the impact they made last week. They're looking to do similar to what Russell Anderson's done so far. they've used their front row subs brilliantly on this whole tournament, the South.
Russell rolls the ball in. It's been scooped back there by Johnson at the base of that scrum, but the referee has signalled that there's a penalty in there. Russell's wanting the ball quickly. He's signalling to the referee that he's not happy that the ball has been kind of bubbled about there. But Beckett has now got the ball in his hands, and he's going to try and kick this into the corner as Cali Reds hunt down a lead, which is currently, after 50 minutes, it's Cali 13, South 31. And it's a throw in to the line out now for Cali Reds. The wind is picking up again, the sun splitting through the clouds, the grey clouds which decorate the sky above us here at Canal Park in Inverness. It's a glorious setup here in the Highlands for playing rugby and spectating as well. Great hospitality inside as Rendell throws into the line out. It's been brought down. Cali now look to try and put the squeeze on up front. They all congregate en masse at the driving maul, which starts to crane upwards as it's been met with some South resistance. It splinters to the left hand side. It's starting to crab and make its way towards the line, and then halt slightly as the South players start to recycle themselves into a position where they can offer up their defensive services. But eventually Cali squeeze over the line. It looks like Ali Johnson is the player to get the try, but from that maul it was well thwarted by the South. But eventually a little creak in the defensive line. It was a little crane, a little gap in the defensive line. It was actually Malachi Heo who was the try scorer. The announcer's keeping me on my toes anyway. I got it wrong in the first place, so it doesn't matter. But it was Malachi Heo with the try, but again showing some forward dominance up front there. It was met with good resistance, but eventually persistence paid off.
Yeah, it was a classic forward strike, rumbling from the line out, and once again they've hit back and they're back in this. It's a 13-point game again, kick to come, and they're far from out of this yet, Cali, and it, as we keep saying, it just could come down a bit. It could come down to the bench here, or benchies rather.
Beckett with the conversion attempt. He's got the benefit of the wind behind him, and he's trying to just ghost that in, and it's hit one of the uprights. Whether on a still day that upright would have been located in that position, that remains to be seen, but it has kissed the upright. So it still remains 18 points to 31, 52 minutes played here at Canal Park. The South in the driving seat, taking their time getting back to the restart, but it shows you the danger of Cali, and certainly the danger of players like Malachi Heo, who was the try scorer for Caledonian Reds on that occasion.
Played a bit of super rugby. Heo, no mug, 6 tries and 6 selections in this offside line. Team of the week, no less this season.
Gathered by Johnson. He'll be happy I credited him with a try, but it wasn't him, it was his teammate, and Herriot's teammate as well, Malachi Heo, as Russell digs the ball out from the ruck and gives it to Beckett. No real pressure on the kicker as they all wait in behind. Linton watches that ghost over his head, but he gets the bouncing ball on the second occasion, charges forward, bats off one, then bats off two, but is then scragged by Murray Mitchell, who was a late replacement in the Cali starting line-up. McComb now got the ball in hand, gives it, and Patterson working hard off his wing. Sutherland in the wider channels, then gives it to Donald Crawford, who's had a relatively quiet second half here for the South. Muir charges forward and then goes to ground. Melbourne now with a chance to tip the ball on to Craig Keddy for his first carry forward. He's been wrapped round the shoulders as Douglas Crawford now gives it to Aaron McComb. He's just splintered through the defensive line, looks to step up Beckett and almost just falls over his own feet as he offloads off the deck, and Harry Russell is there waiting, and then Cali kick it downfield. Ford the only player back. He's got a couple of Cali players to pressurise him here. One of them is Magnus Henry, who does brilliantly in defence. The South players have to retreat round and make their services there defensively for this South side. One of them is Jay Linton. He's got the ball, he breaks off 1-2 challenges, goes laterally across the pitch, almost Van der Merwe-esque there from the Hoik number 8. He's running a little bit of trouble, but the referee will bring it back from the penalty. It's going to be a penalty to the South, offside there from Cali, but great attacking lines there, balanced running from McComb, just not able to find the runner.
Yeah, he didn't have a great deal of support to be fair, Macomb, and you had to try and almost fling it back from the deck because there was Cali players all around him, no South players in support. But it was another wonderful little snipe round the base by Doug Crawford that created the space. It kept the defence honest, and Macomb was only too happy to exploit what had been created.
Kirk Ford kicking the ball off the field of play from the penalty, and as soon as the ball leaves his hands, you can see the ball shift in the wind. It's only out of his hands before it connects with his boot for a nanosecond, but the wind is manipulating the ball's flight as soon as it left the mitts of the Hawick fullback. Throw into the line out now for the South. Anderson, as I think a replacement's going to be made beforehand. Terry Logan is going to come on for Nicky Little. So a couple of replacements in the front row to try and shore things up for the South. Anderson throws to Keddy. Keddy's not able to gather the ball. It bounces and ricochets off of a few players. The referee has said that there's been no knock-ons in there, so Sutherland just scoops the ball out from that breakdown. Crawford then against the grain tries to find Anderson, who's brilliantly challenged there by Andrew Stephen, who's able to wrap up the ball as well, and then Cali are able to counter-attack, but the referee gives the penalty to the South. It's been met with a chorus of boos. Boos, not the alcoholic version, from the stand here at Canal Park. You're not happy with the decision from the match official, David Young, but the penalty will go to the South. Again, the danger of Crawford in behind that ruck, just keeping the Cali defence honest, but again just putting pressure on at the breakdown this Cali side.
Yeah, Doug Crawford, he's keeping them guessing. Better kick there by Ford from the penalty. And yeah, you mentioned boos there, Dale. It's the first time I've arrived at a rugby club and seen a couple of tables adorned with fully or already poured drams.
Oh, it was a thing to behold, wasn't it?
It really was,
yeah.
Highland hospitality at its finest.
Commentary was almost sacked for the afternoon. The lure of the whiskey which littered round the club rooms here at Highland. Great to see as well. I think we've been here for a while, a long time as we're waiting for the ball to get back in play. We've been here for a while at Canal Park, but the hospitality and the event here, it shows you everything that's great about inter-district rugby. We've seen it at Poindar last week, and we're getting a taste of it here at Canal Park.
We most certainly are. Yeah, great looking lunch was happening.
Thrown into the line out, it's been gathered by Melbourne, and then a little drive forward from the South pack. It's starting to keep going as well towards that 10-metre line, thrown in at the halfway. Crawford with his mitts on the ball gives it to Macomb, and he's got Robson for support, and then gives it to Donald Crawford, who breaks through the first challenge in a congested defensive area. Macomb then spreads the park, gives it to Ford. He tries to offload in the tackle, not able to. Callum Anderson then stabs it forward, but Muratoki was there, ready just to charge that down. The right winger for Cali Reds in the right place at the right time, as he's been hoisted into the air by Russell from a box kick, and then just letting the wind do the rest is Patterson. Uses a bit of footwork to try and get on the outside of Cessford, but Brough is there to help support his front row compatriot. Digging in about there now. It's Crawford again, finds Russell. He's got Logan for support, just not able to gather that ball, and it's now bobbling about. The referee signalling that the knock on has been spotted there in the centre field, and it remains here after 57 minutes at Canal Park. It's Cali 18, South 31.
Glasgow 10, Edinburgh 21. Glasgow have pulled a try back in that game being played at Braidholme at the moment into the Cup, the National League Cup, its latest. Alan Glenn's 24, Howe Fife 14. So a couple of quick tries for Howe Fife in that game. Obviously, again, the wind causing all sorts of problems in that match. Preston Lodge 10, Falkirk 27 as a latest score. Gala 5, Kelso 21 we have at the moment. Langham 25, Broughton 12 in the East League 1, and all the other matches I think have been called off.
Bryce Robertson and Struan Robertson have come on to the pitch, the Gordonians and Watsonians players. They're going to replace Scott Rendell and Rory Brown as the scrum starts to splinter and twist and crane there, and the impact of Terry Logan perhaps evident at that set piece as the referee signals the penalty will go the way of the South. Centre field, it's a difficult call here because you're probably going to have to try and kick it off laterally to get the line out, but it's a penalty nonetheless to the South, and good play at the scrum.
Yeah, Big Terry's on. that's for sure. Made an awful mess of that Cali scrum, which in the mains went alright this afternoon, but Glasgow scrum went okay last week until Logan and Shields came on. So, but you're right with this kick, it's bang centre field. It'll take a decent nudge from Kirkford.
He's put a bit of weight behind that. He's been able to probably squeeze every last drop out of that kick. It's over the 10-metre line, centre field. A player who probably could be closer towards the 22 and the 5-metre line in normal conditions. Showing you the strength and illustrating the power of this wind. Anderson, the ball above his head, throws it to the line out. It's been well gathered there. Callum McPherson hoisted highest for Cali, able to grab the ball. He's also been challenged in flight and gives the penalty back to Cali. And now this could be an interesting penalty attempt because they can probably get a little bit more distance on this one.
Oh, definitely, they're on their own 10-metre line. I would not be surprised if Beckett sticks this deep into the South 22 if he gets it right. No, not quite. Not his best effort, Dale, to be honest.
I did see him sizing up this bottom corner because as we are looking at the pitch from this angle, the wind is swirling down towards that top right-hand corner. And it was Beckett did have a little size up into that corner where Kirkford was waiting. There wasn't an opportunity to even kick it scruffily and get it off the field of play. So it's going to be our first throw into the line out for Bryce Robertson, the Watsonians hooker. Gives it then to Russell. Beckett now. Johnson linking back up with Beckett to give it to Mitchell. He splinters through the defensive line, but great challenge by Patterson. Robson just flopped on the challenge there as well. Miritoki is then released, but the ball has been knocked on there by Mitchell, the replacement inside centre. And we did mention before about players and the levels that they're at. He's a Strathmore player, and he's had a really good game.
Oh, he's not looked out of place at all, Dale, and it's all credit to him. Not a name I'm familiar with, I have to be honest. Not seen him play before, but I've been impressed with what I've seen by him this afternoon. But you're right, there's players from down the divisions here in this Caledonian team, and it's one of those where the sum is greater than the individual parts, but they certainly, they don't look out of place, that's for sure.
Okay, just wait.
Imrie and Kirk have come on for Cali, and replacing Russell and the aforementioned Mitchell, and Muir and McComb are just trudging their way off the pitch because Shields and Struan Hutchison have come on to the field. So both captains have been withdrawn for both sides. I'd imagine Struan Hutchison is the player probably to take the armband for the South. It'll be interesting to see who the leader is. I think it's Struan Cessford in the front row for Cali, the vice captain of this side. So the Melrose half-back partnership now. It's been rolled in. It's been plucked by Linton, and then a palm-off there for James Imrie, who gets his first action in this game. Goes across the park and then does release Crawford, and then Anderson, who just ghosts his way back in field. He's then challenged by Beckett, who does well to get across and marshal the Selkirk winger. South up towards the 10-metre line now. Hutchison with his first pass with the ball in hand gives it to Terry Logan, who just meanders his way towards the Cali Reds half, over the halfway line now. Crawford, Hutchison out the back almost to Anderson. It's been gathered and he's still got open play here. He's charging forward, but the referee brings that back. There's a lung-busting effort there from the Hoyk hooker, but the referee signalling that it was off a Cali hand and then rolled down a South paw. So a knock on in there. So it'll be a put into the scrum to Cali Reds. But again, showing you the attacking intent from Hutchison, who's a replacement at fly half.
Yeah, good introduction to the game from Hutchison. Big carry in there as well. Big trundling carry from Terry Logan. Got the South on the front foot. Looked for the space there, Hutchison.
And quick interjection, because that wind at Braidholme is playing its part. It's now Glasgow 15, Edinburgh 21.
Tight at Braidholme. Edinburgh know that perhaps the championship is slipping out their grasp. Glasgow the same, and they'll be hoping for a comeback. 13 points Cali trail, 18 points to 31 with 17 minutes remaining here at Canal Park. They scrum again, just pounding forward, but they've managed, Cali, to get the ball away as that ball stabbed forward. It's been tipped back into the hands of Kirkford, who tries to get out of a little bit of danger there. Max Wallace guilty of knocking the ball on for Cali, but the ball is in the hands of the South. Shields with his first carry for the South, the Kelso front row player. Crawford He finds Hutchison, who finds Melbourne. He finds the defensive line of Cali. Then into the hands of Russell Anderson, the most recent try scorer for the South. Got that try in 44 minutes to start this second half. Then Craig Keddy just bounds over the top of that ruck. Terry Logan then clears Glenn Brough out the road as Hutchison links up with Ford. He stabs forward, waiting in behind there is Beckett. He throws an outrageous dummy, but it's been bought there by the South defence. Makes a couple more yards forward over that halfway line. Good play from South to steal that back on their side. Again, Douglas Crawford was loitering there. He's played over 64 minutes in this game. It might be the last play that he's involved in. A couple of players just warming and limbering up in front of us in the dugout area. Perhaps another passage of play to go. But there are a couple of players remaining on the bench for the South in the shape of Angus Dunn and Andy Tate. Could be a throw in to this lineup. There's one remaining on the bench for Cali, that's Finlay Smith. And Kirkcaldy fly half as Beckett spots some space in behind. The bounce of the ball's not been kind to him as it's just bouncing its way over the try line and now over the dead ball area. So the Cali fly half try to roll the dice and lure Callum Anderson out of his position. But it's going to come all the way back for a put into the scrum for the South as we see Angus Dunn and also Andy Tate come on the field of play.
Bounce of a ball on a pitch like this, Dale, it, bounces the other way and it's a 50-22 and Cali are very much in the ascendancy, but it bounced the other way, it trundled over the dead ball line and all of a sudden they're back for a scrum where the ball was kicked, which is inside the Cali half as the subs come on. Connor Sutherland's come off, he's done a lot of the nuts and bolts this afternoon, he's been busy, he's had a good game, nothing too flashy, but puts himself about, makes his tackles.
Struan Cessford is also off for Cali, replaced by Ross Brown.
Guys, watch that side, keep it up.
One of the replacements which I actually missed when I was going through the list there. Ross Brown with his first introduction in this game. Musselburgh front row, originating from Ellen, an Aberdeenshire team that have fallen down the leagues in recent years. Keep up at the heights of about probably National 2 now and nowadays equivalent. Greg Ryan and Mark Ryan hailed from Ellen, a couple of really good rugby players as the South link up behind the scrum. Crawford is just scythed down to ground by Beckett and then a good foray forward from Linton. Now Callum Rennick gets the ball stationary, plants off his left foot, tries to come back in field as Tate gives the ball to Ford, who's acting as first receiver, and then filtered on to Robson, who's now on his back, trying to get that ball desperately back in the hands of his clubmate Tate. Hutchison takes the ball forward and he's been met with some stubborn resistance from this Cali side. Craig Keddy tries to drop the shoulder, but there's nobody there to protect his fall somewhat, and he just goes back down to ground tentatively. Shields carries and then Tate gives it to Hutchison. Hutchison then stabs it low into this wind, and watching this as Connor falls, it bounces up into his hands and he returns it back downfield, and it's went out at a good angle for the Falkirk fullback, and it's going to be a throw into the line out for the South, but playing in the right areas.
Oh, definitely. I think the South will be pretty pleased with that. I think they'll see that almost as a slight net gain. Decent enough kick there down the field. It was well fielded by Connor Falls, but it just gives the South another line out, and they'll be happy enough, I would imagine, to play this fairly safe, stick it up the jumper and look to go through the phases again and eat into what's left of this game, around 12-13 minutes with a 13-point advantage.
My mate Willie Aitken will be sweating when he hears the name Connor Falls, because he was the player who brought his season to a premature end in a game against Peebles and broke his arm on a mazy run back in field. He's still bitter that a fullback has broke a prop's arm, but he's certainly having a good game this afternoon. Falls linked up at infield as Anderson gives it to Shields, who tries to return it to the hooker. Just not able to link up. A little exasperated blow from the Kelso front row. Not happy with the way that passage of play turned out.
Another little training ground line out there, and it almost set the hooker Anderson down the tram line.
goes forward. It's scrummed through the hands, eventually into the hands of Dunn, but he just tries to gather. Then it's been knocked forward, so it's ended up in the hands of Ross Brown. He carries the ball forward. It's been presented for Imrie. Imrie then gives it to Bryce Robertson, who carries forward. Now Beckett back waiting there in the pocket with Stuart Kirk. He has a little 40 forward as well. The Dundee utility back. Carry from Bruff, the Orcadian. And then Imrie. He just got a player there waiting as Beckett tips the ball on to McPherson. On rushing onto that ball, but again being met with a stubborn defence. Only been 2 tries in the second half after being spoilt in the first. Anderson and Keogh, the 2 players, as the ball's just been spiralled into the air. It bounces kindly now for Ford, who's back in his 22. Connor folds for company. Then Patterson sizing up a kick here. He stabs it high, and it's gripped by the wind and then goes off in between the 22 metre line and the 10 metre inside the South's half. We've got 10 minutes left to play here. Calais 18, the South 31, and time ticking out for Edinburgh, Glasgow or Calais to get back into this game and steal this championship away from the South.
Latest scores for you over at Braidholm. It's Glasgow 15, Edinburgh 21. Here it's Calais Reds 18, South 31. In the National League Cup quarter-final, Allen Glens 29, Howe 5 21, and Preston Lodge 22, Falkirk 32. And in the Border League game, Gala 5 21.
Calais on the attack now. It's Cal McPherson who almost capitalised on that bobbling ball there on the blind side. The Terry Logan run, just not able to grip the ball, and Calais almost benefited off it, but it is now the South who have the ball in hand and under control. As Tate finds Hutchison, the ball floated in the air, just gripped by that wind. You can see it move in its trajectory into the hands of the players as they try and manage these tricky conditions. Hutchison now, ball through the hands to Crawford. Tate barking some orders to some forwards to line up as again Craig Keddy carries forward the Gala back row player. Now Logan, a little bit of footwork and then just straightens up his run and angles his run forward. The referee is signalling that Calais are offside there. Malachi Keogh, one of the players there, who tried to just have a bite at that turnover, but the referee not happy with the positioning of the Calais Reds defence, and it's a penalty centre field to the South of Scotland.
Glasgow 15, Edinburgh 24.
Yeah, I think the South will be quite happy to be awarded that penalty centre field in their own half. It just takes the sting out of it, as it just enables them to just run the clock down a wee bit as the bottles of water come on. Seeing if the referee's having a chat with the Calais captain, possibly about the penalties that are racking up, but they're going to have to get back in position here.
Callum McPherson is taking on captain duties for Calais, or perhaps leadership duties anyway, because he was the first person to speak to David Young, the match official. Centre field now, Kirk Ford will be looking to lump this off. Ian Chisholm watches on, water bottles in hand, back at a familiar stomping ground after coaching Highland for many a year. And a spectator did well to save the very focals of another spectator down in front of us. Managed to get a mitt out in front of that.
Aye, he did. That was a great save, goalkeeper style, because that was heading right into the moosh of another spectator. Fair play to his friend there.
Irony that you should have seen it coming with the glasses on, but was able to help protect them as the ball has been turned over at the line out there. Imrie finds Keogh, ball in hand, upright, powers forward and then into the hands of Finlay Smith, who's making his debut for Calais now. Wider to Wallace, and Calais linking up well now. Muratoki, who's in behind, he tries to get that outstretched arm and get the offload in, and Calais now knocking at the door but cough up possession, and Andy Tate tries to go down the blind side, and that is no avenue there, no reward for the Kelso 9 as he tried to exploit a little gap on that far side. Chance there for the South, but also again the danger of Calais, who, if they were to score at this stage, this makes it an interesting finish.
Oh, definitely. This wind's still strong, it's in their favour. And I think there's another injury here to a South player, but no, if they score in the next 2-3 minutes, they're right back in this deal. This is not over yet.
Okay, latest scores: Glasgow 15, Edinburgh 24, Allen Glens 29, Howarth 21 now with just a few seconds to go in that one, and it's all over at the Penny Pit. Preston Lodge scoring at the death 27, but Falkirk are through to the semi-finals with 32-27 to Falkirk. In the Border League, Gala 5, Kelso 21, and the latest in East League 1, Langham 37, Broughton 12.
Playback underway just about here at Canal Park. Cali 18, South 31. This coverage being brought to you by the Borders Distillery. And I can see Robin Purdy to my left hand side just jotting down a few ideas as he'll be bringing us the South man of the match shortly. Still a lot of rugby left to be played here. 7 minutes remain. 13 points is the advantage that South currently have as Russell Anderson breaks out of his own 22-metre line. Close quarter action now for the South as they look to try and protect that ball. Another charge forward, this time for Grant Shields as the heavy artillery is brought to the front line for the South. Hutchison back into the pocket, kicks it into the stabbing wind, it's went into the air, it's over the 22-metre line, and Justin Hutchison grabs his own kick, which was a desperate attempt from the Melrose Fly half, and now Crawford, and Donald Crawford this time, a little hop off his heels and meanders back in field with his right foot. He's challenged well by the Calais defence as play goes centre field now. Hutchison to Patterson, who's ghosting and working hard off his wing, finds Angus Dunn. The back row players working hard in the wider channels as Anderson stabs it downfield. Connor Falls is there sweeping up, but there's a couple of South players there looking to try and defend the Calais fullback. Muratoki gets there to clear the South defenders off of that ball. It's then been tipped on and Terry Logan bursts out the line to challenge Ross Brown. Referee not happy with that. And it remains 18 points to 31. 5 minutes remain and it's a chance to kick downfield for Finlay Smith. And if they've got to do anything, they've got to score now.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Just a little bit of a high shot there by Terry Logan, who's, again, another that's been busy since he came on. But yeah, you're right, Dale. They need to go from this line out here and they need to dot down, then kick it, to be honest. And then, as mentioned, it's game on. But yeah, the clock just starting to work against them a wee bit.
Throw into the line out. Well thrown. It's been flat back though by the South, and Callum Anderson tries to pick it up, and in an offside position it was a chance. I think that was Russell Anderson who was waiting back there. They've been marched back 10 as well. There's a chance here for Calais to try and catch the South napping. Imrie finds Keogh, and then out the back there is Smith, and then he gives the ball on to an on-rushing Stuart Kirk. He's in behind, tries to offload, but Patterson is there for the South to intercept. That was a chance. The door was blown open there by Calais, but Patterson just got himself in the road. The try line beckoning as Kirk was just swung round by a desperate challenge from the South. Tried to get the offload to a teammate in the right place at the right time. Dwayne Patterson, and he spares the blushes of this South defence as they look to try and get a grip and a control of this game again through Logan. Weaving back into the hands of Craig Keddy. Tate finds Melbourne. He's tall in the challenge as he makes his way towards that 22-metre line. Attritional stuff here from the South as Linton has a charge forward now. Ball in hand. Logan plucks the ball off of the ground. We've got 4 minutes to remain here. Calais 18, South 31. The scoreline would mean that the South of Scotland would win the Inter-District Championship, but also pick up the inaugural Nairn McEwen Cup. Ex-Highland and Gala player. He used to travel in the 70s from his hometown, his home club in the Highlands, 3 times a week to play for Gala, 20 caps for Scotland. Firmly affiliated with both of these regional outfits. As the South make their way out of the 22 now. Forward, drives Craig Keddy. 4 minutes remain. Sean Muir, ball in hand. That's not Sean Muir. It's it does look like it was actually Angus Dunn who had the ball in hand there, charging forward. Now Melbourne has been scooped off the ground by Tate, and on-rushing Terry Logan. He's been repelled by stubborn Cali defence yet again. Rennick, and the referee not letting these high challenges ride. The South players and coaching staff not happy with the height of the challenge. As Dunn gets round the corner, charges over the 10-metre line now. South making some good distance in this game. Consistent and steady, pragmatic approach from the South as they've went from their own 22-metre line over the halfway line now. We're just about as Anderson rolls towards that threshold. Rennick now over it, presents the ball back. Tate finds Robson. Robson goes back towards that congested area and he's over towards that 10-metre line now. The Cali players have to filter around that breakdown to try and get there to offer themselves up. Keddy finds Crawford. Crawford then finds Patterson, who's able to juggle the ball back to Keddy. A little kick in the heels and now the South are in the Cali 22. Pass by Tate to Melbourne. Tipped on there to Anderson, the hooker, charging towards that 5-metre line. Tate there quickly at the breakdown to Hutchison. Breaking out the line is the Cali defence, but now Crawford gives it to Angus Dunn in the wider channels. Is now Anderson. Anderson offloads and it is there in the hands of Callum Rennick, and he flops over the line, and they've went from their own 22 to score at the far end, and that is what is going to seal the championship and grip their mitts round the Nairn McEwen Cup. What a try from the South, and they're home and hose now.
An absolutely virtuoso try that into the wind, Dale. Multi-phases from their own half, interplay between forwards and backs. Some great passing towards the end in conditions that are not ideal for passing, let's be honest, and a good finish by Callum Rennick, a man who's played exceptionally well for the South in this championship. And yeah, that is that.
It's just been announced over the tannoy here that the man of the match in this game, according to the sponsors, is Callum Anderson, the South number 11, 2 tries, but we've got our Border Distillery man of the match. It'll be interesting to see just now if Robin Purdy agrees or disagrees with the decision of the sponsors here.
Well, Callum Anderson, he's got 2 tries to his name. He's absolutely there or thereabouts. Connor Sutherland's been busy as well as his second row partner Keith Melbourne. Jay Linton's been his usual rumbustious self, and Russell Anderson's made a big impact since half time, but a couple of assists to his name. Been really busy, kept the defence guessing. He's a really good battle with Harry Russell, and my Borders Distillery South man of the match this afternoon, Dale, is Doug Crawford.
Very hard to argue with that decision. Anderson pivotal, scoring a couple of tries as the conversion attempt goes towards the uprights. It is not successful either, but the referee has blasted the final whistle, and the destiny of the Inter-District Championship was always in the hands of the South. And there's an embrace between Bruce McNeil and Matty Douglas on the touchline, because the job has been done. 36 points to 18, and the South are Inter-District champions, and Matty Douglas has led his side to success, and they also pick up the Nairn McEwen Cup as both sides share some pleasantries and shake hands here. It's been a great spectacle, it's been a great championship. This has probably been the most one-sided game out of the whole championship. Still pretty tight, pretty competitive. However, the South go through the championship undefeated, backs to the wall jobs on a couple of occasions as well, but they've been able to get the job done and get it over the line, and they're the champions.
They are the champions and the deserved champions. Can't say any better than 3 from 3. And yeah, this probably has been the most one-sided game, but they've not been able to shake Cali off. You know, credit to Cali. They've come into this probably without, for me, their 2 best players, the 2 Curry lads. But yeah, the South have been professional. They've done well into the wind in this second half, and all credit to, the players, the managers. But a special word for Matty Douglas, the young head coach of the South. Hoyk not in need of his services for next season. Of course, that statement was made a couple of weeks ago, but he's seen the district team, the region, through to picking up this trophy, and that's a sweet moment for him.
Definitely. I think the narrative of that decision and Matty Douglas's future will play out in the weeks to come. However, revelling in the moment now, he can revel in the success of a successful inter-district campaign that has led the South to glory and the championship. As the players in front of us, the sun is now fully out here at Canal Park, as the South players embrace from those 5 clubs which are represented here this afternoon. Hawick, Selkirk, Kelso and Gala and Melrose, the teams that are represented for the South, have combined together to win the championship as Sean Muir leads his teams through the Cali Tunnel, which is formed in the field, to give the side a round of applause. Both sets of coaching staff are on the park as well, giving plaudits to the players who have put on a great spectacle here. It's been a great occasion at Canal Park. The spectators have filtered back in towards the bar, out of the wind, but we've still got the trophy lift. A couple of trophies to lift for Sean Muir and his South side as Cali make their way off the field of play. But on the balance of things, obviously the South got the better of the first half. Obviously that was evident, 13 points to 26 at half time, but also they got the better of the second half, which is probably more surprising considering the wind that is here and the way that the game could have panned out. They obviously won the second half 10 points to 5 as it finished here, 18 points to 36, but you know, the way that they managed the game as the leadership group of the players and also the coaching staff was, you know, it was a great effort.
Yeah, to emerge from the second half as the second half victors, if you like, that is really impressive given what they've played into, which was the teeth of a gale. And yeah, all credit to the South. This has been a thoroughly professional performance here this afternoon, and they're going to go away with the spoils, a couple of bits of silverware to their name, and it's no less than they deserve.
There was no need to get the helicopter out this afternoon at Canal Park because the South get it over the line. They are the inter-district champions for this season. There's been tries from Callum Anderson. He got a brace. He was awarded man of the match for the sponsors here this afternoon, partnered by Douglas Crawford, who is our Borders Distillery man of the match. Fraser Rennick got proceedings underway with a try. Keith Melbourne getting a try as well. But in the second half, Callum Rennick and Russell Anderson just took it away from Cali, who got tries from Fauld, Beckett and also Malachi Keogh. As it finishes here at Canal Park, South of Scotland are the inter-district champions after beating Cali 18 points to 36.
Thank you to Robin Purdy and to Dale Clance. Second tell you it's all over at Brightholme, and another shock. Glasgow 29, Edinburgh 24. Glasgow winning at the death. Remember, they were 21-5 down. Another game which was totally affected by the wind as well. In the National League Cup quarter-final, Allen Glens are through to the semis. They beat Howe Fife 29-21. Preston Lodge 27, Falkirk 32. Falkirk are through the semis. Don't forget Boroughmuir v Newton Stewart and Stirling County against last week, both off today. They're going to have to play again. In the Border League, Hawick are the champions because Gala have not managed to get the try bonus win they wanted. It's Gala 17, Kelso 28 in that one at Netherdale. And the other result we have for you at the moment is East League 1, Langham 37, Broughton 12.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whiskey making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Borders College is your local community college with qualifications recognised and valued by employers. To find out more, visit borderscollege.ac.uk today. Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
The South in the Inter-District Championship on Rugby Radio with the Borders Distillery.
stares of the clown and the downs that they take just to be free. And I've seen all the girls and their pretty frocks and curls, but they don't mean a lot to me. Run for home, run as fast as I can. Oh, running man, running for home. I've been to the places in town where the faces hang round just to stare at each other. I ballooned with them, screamed at the moon, behaved like a buffoon, but I soon discovered. Run from home, run as fast as I can. Whoa, running man, running for home. Run for home, run as fast as I can. Whoa, running man, running for home. Run for home, run as fast as I can. Whoa, running man, running for home. I've traveled the land, made mistakes out of hand, seen the faces in the places misunderstand. Yes, I've traveled the world, seen the pretty boys and girls, heard the noise that destroys and commands. Run for home, run as fast as I can. Whoa, running man, running for home.
Music from Lindisfarne playing on Rugby Radio. Calais 18, South 36 is how it ended. The South are the champions, and over in Braidholme, the big match, Glasgow against Edinburgh, a big comeback from Glasgow. Glasgow 29, Edinburgh 24. Well, Robin Purdy is now with Harry Russell, the captain of Caledonia Reds.
Well, Harry, commiserations first of all, but my word, you guys most certainly didn't disgrace yourself this afternoon. The South made a fast start, but you guys kept composed. You played a bit of rugby in that first half, and you managed to stay in the game and into the teeth of the gale as well.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the lads. I probably couldn't ask for any more in terms of work rate or effort that went into it, or commitment in the collisions that were there. We knew we were going to be up against it in that first half, playing into the wind, and we wouldn't really be able to exit. And the South did. They came out, they started fast, they moved the ball, they were dominating collisions from the start. So it was it was backs against the wall for big chunks of that first half, going into 40-mile-an-hour winds.
And no Cardosi today, late withdrawal of Inverness. Those are two of your most influential players, top Premiership operators. But you must be very proud of the boys that came in.
Yeah, I think that the boys that came in were unbelievable. Muzz, that was at 12 for us today, plays his rugby at Strathmore's, incredibly physical, carried the ball well, distributed well. Just it went about his business, and not we didn't. Of course, we missed someone of DJ Innes's quality and capabilities, but I thought Muzz did a brilliant job. The same with Andrew, hasn't been part of the squad until this weekend. Slotted him seamlessly, worked incredibly hard, made all his lineouts. The boys, we just gel really well as a team. Considering the region goes all the way with boys from Orkney and then all the way down to guys playing their rugby in Edinburgh, it's amazing how quickly we can come together and chuck it around.
And that's to your credit. It looks from the outside looking in that it must be a real challenge through no reason and other reason than geography.
Yeah, the geography makes it incredibly tough for us. As a comparison, we've had 2 training sessions. I believe the South had 3 training sessions last week, and I've had multiple training sessions in the build up to all of their games. So it shows the cohesion that we have as a team and as a district, how we want to play. And a huge credit has to go to Colin Science and all the other coaches in terms of getting that messaging across and empowering us in it being a real collaboration in terms of how we want to attack, and on defence just getting the boys into that right emotional state.
And 13 points down at half time with a strong win to play with in the second half. You must have felt you were right in it.
Yeah, we did. We went at half time. If you'd offered us that scoreline at the start of the day, we wouldn't have been unhappy with it. We were really disappointed to give away 2 very soft scores ultimately from mistakes from the South, but they capitalised on it. One at the tail of a line out and the winger's gone clean through, almost untouched. And then I'll sing his praises because we Doug Crawford at the back of the breakdown, a bit of magic to go through, and then a great pass to score in the corner. So I think if we'd stopped them, you're talking about going in, there being a point in it at half time. So we really felt like we were in the game.
Well, it wasn't to be this season, but as a region, you've massively played a huge part in the resurrection of this famous old championship, and I've no doubt you'll be back and having a crack again next season.
Yeah, I'd love to be part of the Cali district again next year. It means a huge amount to me to get to lead the boys out and just to be part of a special group of players. So as much as the motivation was there after winning it last year, I'd say there's arguably more motivation having not got the results that we hoped we would have this year, to get working hard in the off season and make sure that I can be part of this again next year if selected.
Well, Harry, thanks for joining us up here. Go grab a beer, and congratulations, great individual performance today, and gutsy stuff from your region throughout this championship.
Cheers, Robin, thanks.
There we are, that's Robin Purdy talking to Harry Russell, captain of the Caledonia Reds team there, which gives us time to bring in the Borders Distillery man of the match from the South players, and that is Douglas Crawford from Melrose, who played a pretty substantial amount of that game, always nippy, always causing problems for the opposition. Robin Purdy's back with Douglas Crawford, the Borders Distillery South man of the match.
Well, Doug, first of all, we've literally had to put the headphones on you there. You look like you're nursing a sore one.
Just first half took a knock from Harry Russell, and just felt something click. So hopefully it's nothing too bad, but just seized up in the second half. So.
Yeah, and it was a great old scrum half battle out there between the two of you.
Yeah, well, I know Harry quite well, so it's good. We've never played against each other before, I don't think, so it was good to get a run out, and it's good. A few goes at each other, which was good. I think he dunted me a couple of times, but I slipped past him once, so I think on his even. Yeah.
And you guys made a fast start. 4 first half tries, got the bonus point, but you just couldn't check. You kind of just couldn't shake them off.
Yeah, and credit to Cali, like they stuck in it. Especially, I thought they managed the wind in that first half really well. It was a tough wind. We were probably quite nervous that they managed to stay in the game in that first half and get those few scores, especially at the end there. Kept them fighting, credit to him, because that second half showed just how difficult it was to play into the wind.
I was going to say, Doug, give us an insight from a player's perspective. Just how difficult is it to play rugby in conditions like that?
It is tough, even with the wind. As a 9, as a kicker, you're worried about sticking it too long, the wind dragging it out. So you just got to, take that into account whenever you're trying to execute the skills. But I thought we managed it well in the first half. Aaron put in some really good kicks and used the wind well. And then the forwards up front, when we got a chances, they took them, and credit to them.
And tell us, what does it mean to play in that famous old jersey, and not only that, but to win this great old district championship?
It means a lot. We talked about when we first got together as a group at Poinder and sat down and had a meeting, and we said the goal was to win the championship and go undefeated, and for that actually to happen, it's class. Like it's brilliant. One of the key things we spoke about was making memories, and we've done that. We've not only connected on the pitch, but we had a good time off it as well. We had a good night out in Hoyk last week, and I think it really brought the squad together. So it's like things like that you wouldn't do if it wasn't for the opportunities through the South. So it's been great on the pitch, but off the pitch, getting to know some of the other Borders guys, it's been brilliant.
From a personal perspective, as mentioned, you're the Borders Distillery South man of the match this afternoon. You've had to bide your time through the tournament, but you must be delighted how you fared today.
Chuff for that. It's been great playing behind such a strong forward pack, and then when I've got my opportunities, I've really enjoyed it, and I think with it being a 3G today, obviously playing on that, a lot of the green yards, getting a chance to start was massive, and thanks to the coaches for putting me in. And it's been a full squad effort the whole championship. I've said, it seems to be poor Andy Tate's had to manage a wind every game, and then I've always had the wind with me. So it's different, different roles that everyone plays, and I think full squad effort. And it was nice to get a few breaks and opportunities today.
And lastly, I'd imagine it'll be quite the bus journey.
Yeah, well, I think we're going straight through to Hoyk again, so we'll get a few Fletcher specials in. Shout out to Fletcher specials at the office. But yeah, great group of guys, great management as well behind the scenes. You and Swinton leading it all, and it's been just an awesome rugby experience, and I hope it continues, because for other guys to get a chance to take part in it and get involved with it, it's brilliant.
Well, Doug, congratulations once again. You've picked up the inter-district title with South of Scotland. Not only that, you're the Borders Distillery man of the match. Well played.
Cheers, Robin, thank you very much.
Douglas Crawford from Melrose and the South winning the Borders Distillery South Man of the Match award. Very well deserved indeed. And that scoreline once again, Caledonia Reds 18, South of Scotland 36. Well, more celebrations today because Hoyk have won the Border League, because Gala have lost at home to Kelso by 28 points to 17. Gala needed a try bonus to keep their hopes open, but now, unfortunately, from a Gala point of view, they're not going to be going away with the trophy. It is going to Mansfield Park. Yesterday, they also won the Border Junior Cup as well, so a good weekend for the Greens in Mansfield Park. Kelso against Gala. Neil Hinnigan was at that match, and let's join him now.
It finished here, Gala 17, Kelso 28. It was a typical Border derby, which would appear to have been a dead rubber before the game started, with Kelso bringing in some Berwick players to help them out. It was much needed support, with Kelso having a big contingency in the South of Scotland match and others playing various other places along with the injuries. The game started off very ferociously, as you'd expect. Kelso playing with a heavy wind behind their back. This would appear that you need to get several points on the board. It looked like at least a 20-odd point win. Kelso went in front early doors from a mistake at the line out by Gala, allowing Murray Woodcock to grab the ball and dive over the line. Angus Utterson stepped up to knock the conversion over to make it 7-0. The game went back and forth a bit, with the elements causing havoc. Kelso keeping the pressure on, and when the ball eventually got up towards the Gala line, Kelso would continually put pressure on to try and get that elusive try, but yet Gala defence held firm. Kelso kept pushing at this point and were rewarded when Robbie Tweedy sneaked through a gap from a great pass by Nick Stingle playing at 9. Again, Angus Utterson put the kick over for 14-0. Gala came into the match at this point, and it was going really well for them, and with playing it to the wind, they would have felt like they were doing well at 14-0, but up popped Tim McCavener, who burst through down the left wing, into space to go in for the try. Conversion was missed. Half-time score was 14-5 to Kelso. Gala would have definitely thought that was good enough with this wind. Out come the second half, and Kelso kept up the pressure, much to the surprise of the home crowd. There was a great try right on about the 50-minute mark when tight-head prop Ashton Asante burst through a gap around 20 metres out, and enough pace to round Ben Gill to get in for the score. A scruffy conversion out of the wind went over for Angus Utterson to make it 21-5. Kelso at this point were under heaps of pressure from Gala with the wind behind them, but Gala couldn't find that try to put the pressure on themselves. Kelso kept working hard and started to play a good offloading game. The likes of James Thompson, Mason Emery to the fore. There was plenty of others joining in as well. Nick Stingle controlling things at 9. Kelso actually played one of their better games into the wind, and this was evident when you saw the likes of Cammy Thompson bursting through, making dummies and striding up the pitch. There's some great play from Kelso. The ball eventually was found wanting when Kelso made some mistakes, allowed Gala to get pressure back on. At this point, Gala were using offload game well. Liam Scott was having a great game. Tim McCavener, who obviously scored the try, he was to the fore as well when Gala were in possession. The young halfbacks as well, Lachlan Johnston was good as well. There was lots of great play from Gala as well, and it just was a typical Border derby. And then in the end, they kept pushing Gala, and they got their rewards when they scored again to put a lot of pressure on Kelso to make it 21-10. The game went right to the last minute when 41 minutes was on the clock, and Kyle Scott scored for Gala to make it 21-17. The referee indicated there was 30 seconds to go for the kick-off, and as the kick-off went up, it held up in the wind, and Murray Woodcock pounced on a loose ball and took off up the pitch. He eventually found an offload to Nick Stingle, who found the pass to James Glendinning, who ran in the top corner with a swan dive to end the match. Obviously jubilation for Kelso as Angus Hutcherson nailed a touchline conversion into the wind for a 28-17 victory. Great end to the season for Kelso at the 15s, obviously in adversity with players missing and so on, and they must thank Berwick RFC for their support in lending them the players. All their players did very well, and each and every one of them can be proud for helping Kelso out.
That's Neil Hinnigan at Netherdale. He also spoke to the Berwick captain, Ryan Wilson, who was playing for Kelso today.
Yeah, definitely enjoyed that. Standards very, very good at this level, so it was going to be tough for the boys to come in. But I don't think we looked out of place too much. There was a few big carries, big tackles, and but no, it's definitely a good standard to play at, and it was very enjoyable.
How do you think the Berwick boys will go out of that today? Obviously, a chance to play a little bit higher, and then how do you feel it would help taking it back to Berwick with you?
Oh, look, it's massive. It just felt a lot organised. Everyone had their own jobs to do and stuff like that. You were always busy. There's definitely a lot to take out of that game today for the boys that played.
Ryan Wilson talking to Neil Hinnigan there. Well, I've got the boys back here. It's still as windy as ever. Storm Kathleen is still trying the best to blow us off the balcony. Dale and Robin Purdy here with me after all the drama, and it was dramatic, wasn't it, Dale?
Yeah, it was. It was a really good game. It was interesting. It kind of ebbed and flowed, and at half time, I think the South were in control, and then eventually you thought that wind could have came back to bite them. But they were professional in the second half. Perhaps did the final scoreline flatter the South? I think it perhaps did. That last try perhaps put a little bit of gloss on that scoreline. But it's been an interesting championship. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I think going down to last weekend with three teams being able to pick up the championship on the last day is exactly what it's all about. Well supported here as well. It's been a really good afternoon.
Very competitive tournament, wasn't it, Robin?
Brilliantly competitive, Stuart. Yeah, it's been nip and tuck across all the game. The Cali just came up a wee bit short today against the South, but as I mentioned in commentary, they're missing their two best players for my money. But no, it's been a great championship, and hopefully it's here to stay and it finds its place in the calendar. And I think that the South are absolutely deserved winners. You can't say fairer than 3 from 3. And yeah, they've looked like a team that are made up mainly of players from 2 of the 4 top teams in the Premiership, and some clubs like Cali or regions like Cali don't have that luxury. So yeah, South have been worthy winners.
Well, the 4 regions themselves aren't really in unison, are they, about where this championship is going to go in terms of where it's going to fit in the calendar? But it would certainly seem, if there's club internationals on the line, that it's got to go to December, January, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that would be a great position to have it in the calendar as well. If it was in that little period where sometimes a lot of games get called off anyway. If you could incubate the domestic rugby for a few weeks, have the inter-district championship in place, and then continue on, whether that be a cup competition or the league is done or whatever. There's just something special about representative rugby, though, and it needs to find the right place. And it would be such a shame if the 4 regions, after the success of this campaign, that's not speaking as somebody who's from the South. After the success of this campaign, I was probably more elated last year when Cali won. I thought that was brilliant, the way that we went about it. So it'd be a shame if we shot ourselves in the foot and then, we're at loggerheads to try and find where it was to fit, because who's it benefiting? Really what we want to do is give the players and people an opportunity to play rep rugby, experience that special environment where players disperse, especially Cali players, they disperse and go elsewhere and then come back under the one banner. I think it's really special. So it certainly needs to find its place in the calendar, but it'd be great if we had it in that kind of festive period to then feed into a lot of preparation as well for a Scotland club team. And I think as well it evolves. You could potentially have the exiles coming up and things like that, but yeah, definitely for me is in that festive period.
Well, we roll away the championship for another year. Next week, Melrose Sevens, Robin.
Melrose Sevens.
Nice 9-hour stint for us all.
Big long stint, a long day today, but a very enjoyable day, I have to say, up in the Highlands. the hospitality's been as you'd expect it to be up here. But yeah, let's not forget there's a big 15s game next Saturday as well, involving a lot of players that have been on show today, particularly for Hawick.
Yes, Hawick against Curry in the semi-final of the Scottish Cup.
Yeah, and I think it's obviously, my gripe has always been the kind of fixture congestion, and you have to then kind of realign your focus to get back engaged in it. But I don't think it's going to take much with the Hawick Curry game. We've got a lot of Hawick Curry games coming up. We've got the Prem final, we've got the semi-final. You know, there's obviously been a lot of chopping and changing with the coaching setup as well at Hawick, so it's going to be interesting what comes over the next few weeks. But a lot of big weekends coming up to finish the domestic season.
Well, that's just about it. That wraps things up for today. My thanks to the team of Dale Clancy, Robin Purdy, Barbara Shield, Kelly Riddle and Colin Black. We'll be back in 7 days' time when we come to you live from the Green Yards to bring you exclusive live radio coverage of the Melrose Sevens. That's from 11 until 8. And also next week, as Robin mentioned, the Cup semi-final between Hawick and Curry. Match highlights from today's game will be available for you to watch tomorrow evening on Borders Rugby TV. But thanks for listening, and from me and the team, bye for now.